Hello, welcome to another episode of Straight Outta Stanton. Potentially the short version of it. We've said
we
this
always say this, so
we've said this before. Yeah, they're not being very long, but unless something crazy happens, well, that's just the reality of podcasts and other media that follows projects like Star Citizen, right, and games in general, where if the game or studio does not feed you information, it's kind of hard to, bring content. Yep. Luckily, we're not news channel, so but it turns out now, like we're like months and months into this project, the things that we talk about most are the news, which is not a surprise because we're all closely following Star Citizen development. And when there's no new stuff, we already had this last couple of weeks. We actually had something to talk about this week. Very slim.
And now for the people who've been around the project a while and undergone a couple Citizen Cons, you kind of know that these last couple months before Citizen Con can be a little dry because they're typically working on something furiously in the background and holding their cards close to their chest, so to speak.
I would be okay with that, except for we had nothing for such a long time, and then we had like 1 week or 2 weeks of some information. Then they went on 4 weeks hiatus. Then they came back with one good episode, and now they're tanking for Citizen Con. And then the end of the year is bad, right? So, what?
Wow, you get this. You get this flurry. You get this flurry of like of passion from Citizen Con that carries you from like October to the end of January-ish, and then you get kind of a but usually after that
from October to end of January.
Well, as far as like how far the hype goes, and plus like afterwards, like I said, once they've stopped kind of working on the Citizen Con is where you start getting more updates on your kind of like regular like goings on in the background and stuff like that, stuff they're working on, etc. They're a little bit more free flowing with the information.
Well, obviously,
unfortunately,
I'm inexperienced with it, so I'm glad that I have you around so that I know that this is kind of a normal thing, which I'm not happy about.
We didn't get a Citizen Con last year, so there's also that to factor in, right? Like we never got the hype to carry us to to the first couple major patches in 2021 here.
I'm still kind of mind blown that Citizen Con is 1 day, man. Like for me, that's like it's actually a big bummer. Like I would expect there's nothing happening, and that's what should carry you for. Like I would be like, okay, weekend or something, like.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be cool for it to be a weekend, but right now, no. It's the 2 stages really helps to give, like, I don't know, like just with all the panels that go on and stuff, it's there's usually lots to talk about afterwards, and frankly lots more to watch. Like I always watch what I can live, but inevitably there's something happening on another stage that I don't manage to catch live because I'm watching something else. So but
that makes sense for sure.
But yeah, as far other than that, I mean, like we kind of pointed out, we did get SCL and ISC this week, but not a lot of info in them. But we'll hit that up when we get to the actual news section.
So I'm gonna say what I did last week before you, so because there's not really much to talk about. I've in my decision to like full time basically stream World of Warships. That's what I did. I streamed and played World of Warships. There's one thing that happened in my life, which someone came at 8 a.m. to kind of try and fix the leaks on my roof. But obviously, as dry as this, season is, and hot, I will not know if this worked or not for like, I don't know, 7 years or so until it rains again.
Yeah.
Whatever. I was just surviving the heat and playing World of Warships and Guild Wars 2. Nothing really major. I watched stuff on YouTube. I watched some streams. Was curious about the whole Nine Tails event, and Yeah, I wasn't really mind blown by it at all. So
Oh, sorry, are you done?
no, I'm done. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I did actually play some of the Ninetales event this week. I actually played Star Citizen a few times, and actually for the most part I had fun. But the Ninetales event, I don't know, like I haven't watched a lot of people playing it, but from what I have heard from other people who've played it, like it was really fun because there was other players and there was like actual action that happened. But I guess I don't know what it was, maybe just time of day or whatever. It was Friday night, kind of, it was later on in the evening, and I was like kind of thinking about maybe signing off when I found that it was running on the server I'd logged into. So I decided to go check it out, and it was just, there was way too many blue players. There was way too many security players there, and there was nobody playing on the pirate side. And
because
the
there's so
result
much
of it,
to lose, right? And currently, like, who's playing a pirate side? Like, what are you getting by like? There's no incentive for people to play for pirates in the game, so you have to like switch for this specific event.
You did say though that when you were watching Burks, they were making big time money when they were killing people
in this specific event. But what do you do when you screw? Just like what you did, you wanted to try the other side, but then you fuck up your reputation. And what do you do then?
Well, that's kind of it. Okay, so this like my brother and I started playing. We did a little bit of multi-crew, which was fun. I'm behind everybody else who's already done this in PTU and stuff like that. But we jumped in a hurricane and we were running bounties, and it was pretty fun. But the one thing that I didn't like is like you can't share your certification missions. So basically we'd have to switch seats every time one of us had to go level up to do our next like certification, like to get the next level of bounties or whatever. And that was a fucking pain in the ass, because that's the other thing, you have to get the killing blow on that certification.
But so if you do it in a turret, does it matter?
No, but you can't share the nav marker to the pilot. So so my brother would have to jump out of the turret, switch seats with me, go into the pilot seat, which he doesn't really like doing, you know, like dogfighting isn't really his thing or whatever. And he's got to dogfight it out basically, and I can't basically help, because if I actually get the killing blow from the turret, mission scrubs.
Oh my god.
So it was a bit of pain in the ass, right? Because we were trying to like share missions and get up to some of the harder missions that a hurricane can take on, because it's just basically seal clubbing otherwise. Yeah, so it was a bit of a fight there. And after kind of doing all that and getting our certifications done and stuff like that, I didn't want to switch to the red side and basically have to do it all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other thing was like there was at least 10 blue players there. So that's the other thing, right? Like if I were a red player and I just like flew in and saw fucking 10 blue players there, I'd be like, fuck that, you know? Like that's not gonna be fun. Like I'm just gonna get like swarmed by 10 other players and just stomped. So
not to mention it's just in general, even if it's better, like the rewarding doesn't seem to be that good, which sucks, so man, because well, and that's the part, like, so like I said, okay, so there's definitely there was the issue where like there wasn't really any PvP happening because again there was too many blue players. You know, pirates would have had to come in there with like some serious numbers to be able to kind of contest. So basically we were doing the scanning part of it, and yeah, every time you complete one of those it's 12 grand, which it definitely takes longer than running a bounty and doesn't pay as well. So the pay wasn't good for that particular phase. It might have been better later on, but I gotta be honest, I just got so bored I ended up being like, I'm just gonna go to bed, you know, like I was almost gonna log off anyways, right? Well, yeah, and it takes a long, like I didn't realize how long it took, you know, because it's like you have to go to a location, protect the scanning ships. Few waves of fighters spawn, but they get instantly mobbed by everybody there and blown up. So like literally I could have just sat there and got money for it if I wanted to. But
and then it's like fly to the next one, do it again, fly to the next one, do it again, and there's like time space between all that. And I think I understand why it's there, because it's to give people time to like group up and stuff like that. But
Prep time.
I felt like it was a little bit excessive, to be honest, because like I said, I mean, like after an hour of doing these, we were only like halfway done scanning for the location of the Ninetales, and I don't know, I just got bored at that point. So so I just like we were talking a little bit about this before we went live. Ninetales feels really unfinished.
Wait, but we're going to talk about Ninetales.
Are we
in the
saving
news,
that?
actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I have some notes as well, and we watched certain videos and whatnot. I want to like, for those who don't play it, I want to drop it in.
But other than that, I did play.
Oh yeah,
I played some more. I played some more just kind of solo this week, and I actually had a good time because I feel like I kind of got a better handle on where combat's going, because I got into a server that was actually working well. I didn't get to try any PvP, but even just from a PvE standpoint, when the AI was working well and maneuvering well and like actually firing at me in such a way where I had to dodge and stuff like that, combat with the capacitors and stuff like that did feel better. Like I feel like it was like, oh, okay, so when things are moving right, you do kind of have to be a little bit more tactical with how you engage. It's not just, fly in there, hold trigger down and stuff like that. You have to be a lot more careful about like when you're choosing to open fire and like for kind of max effect and stuff like that. And I felt like I could see it when I lucked out and got that server that was working properly. So that actually felt pretty good. That's
crazy. We touched on this as well. Like, like when you look at Twitter right now, I mean, it's a shit show. There's nothing else to say, right? But
well, that makes sense too, because again, like a couple other times I went on, I ended up on servers that were like obviously in a rough state, and even just doing PvE bounty missions was like, it was rough, man. Like with rubber banding and things desyncing all over the place, but also just like shots like landing but not doing damage, etc. It did feel pretty rough. The only reason I felt good, like I said, I guess, is because I just lucked out and I got on a server that was working really well, and when it was working well, it was really fun. I had a good time.
Yeah. I don't know. Like some people are literally. I was like some of the. Well, we're going to talk about this in
gossip,
in gossip. But I'm afraid we might lose some of the big content creators. Actually,
yeah, I think so too.
Maybe not forever, but like for the time being. And you know what's the other thing? The reason we might lose them for a longer period of time is because they actually did what we agreed is better, and like they played the game less, which meant that they played other games, which Star Citizen players don't really do that much, because you always have this feeling that you're like, especially if you're a content creator, you feel like you're, I don't know, like doing it behind SE's back or something, like you're betraying the project. There's this, it's flowing in the air all the time when you're within Star Citizen community for some reason, and I think it's really unhealthy. However, if you're not playing games for a long time and then you start playing like different games and you just get high on games actually working the way they are supposed to work, it's hard, man. Like we're saying that's healthy, but when I started playing other games instead of Star Citizen, I don't know when I'm gonna go back and play Star Citizen, honestly. Like I just don't know, because it's hard.
Right?
Like I look at the launcher and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. And honestly, I do think that's healthy, and I think it's fine to go play other games if you want to. But like I personally, I don't ever feel like, I can't play other games because I'm cheating on Star Citizen. Yeah, for me, it's just content
creators, man, not just players.
Maybe
players,
yeah. For me, I just I get so sucked into Star Citizen that I and the project and the development and stuff like that I find like I have a hard time even thinking about like how things are on other games. And then you're right, like I'll go out and I'll play some new games, and yeah, I won't have the urge to kind of go play Star Citizen anymore. So like that's how things kind of work for me, and honestly, it's how I've kind of maintained relative sanity over a long period of time that I've been involved in the game. But
you cannot do that as a streamer.
Right.
Like you cannot do that as a streamer. Like if you do that, you're gonna. We talked about this many times. So it's very detrimental to your stream and your mental health. So Star Citizen is like a black hole, basically. Like there's no winning right now. Hopefully, those people who are investing a lot of time in their Star Citizen streams and communities and all that, hopefully they're gonna get rewarded at some point. Hopefully, when the game comes to a point where more people are going to play it. And I see like one positive is what we listened to last week with I think it was IC or SCL, where potentially that new stuff that comes from Arena Commander, where you can actually play with other people if it's not lagging, if it's not desynced and all that, right? So yeah. There's another thing. I don't know. Did we talk about you getting another beardy to your family or not? Because if you didn't, I want you to mention it. I mean,
I don't know. Well, yes. Okay, so one bearded dragon wasn't enough. When we got Haku, Leah was like, "Oh my god!" And then she wanted a bearded dragon too. So we have a second bearded dragon named Sen, also from Spirited Away.
So this means that there's double the amazing pictures on Twitter of these
I don't know.
creatures.
Honestly, I've been holding back, to be honest.
Whenever you post something, I really love it. I don't know, man. Like for me, I just love lizards. So
yeah, I think they're really cool. And it's funny. We were talking about this before we pushed the record button, but like, man, they are completely different personalities. Sen is a female, and she's a little bit older than Haku is, and she is so feisty. Like she will puff her beard up, which is what they do when they're feeling defensive or whatever. She will like hiss at you, and like she will bite you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like Leah's trying to pick her up to put her in a bath, and she's like Sen's like dangling off of her finger.
It's a dragon, man. Eh?
Yeah.
By the way,
she's a complete fireball compared to Haku, who's like so chill.
For those who don't know, Maso is saying these spirited away things, but in reality, Sen's got the name. It's inspired by what's the name? Reliant Sen. And Haku is just obviously same. Because MISC are Japanese company, and this is, the Japanese style of poetry.
I wondered if you were gonna like, question the Reliant.
Actually inspired by MISC.
He's wrong. It's not actually true. But
yeah, I'm just kidding. It's just funny that you can make a connection. That's all.
I actually picked that up when I was mentioning it to you the first time. I was like, "Oh, Sen, that's Cheg's favorite ship."
Yep. There you go.
But
all right, so we are gonna go from intro to the news, which I'm assuming is going to be a little bit shorter, but there are things to talk about. And before we go any further, let's just continue with the Ninetales event. So, I would like to say mixed feelings, but in reality, it just doesn't feel good. And if you guys love it, if you like actually enjoyed it, there's two things I would like to know. Like if you disagree with us, I would love to hear a lot of people not agreeing with me, like actually enjoying it. I don't have any. I did not catch it. Like when I was playing, it's just the timetable is just so stupid to me. Like it should probably run all the time or something, or whatever. Or we had some ideas for that to be like on a timer so that we know when it's happening or whatnot. The rewards are crap. But there are some things that are very interesting. So for those of you who don't know Morphologist, how the fuck would you not know Morphologist, right? So his last video,
that's a good question.
His last two videos are about Ninetales. One is obviously a Ninetales video, but the other one is something else. And but in reality, it's all about the side stuff during Ninetales event, which actually seems very, very interesting, and for several reasons. But as you can imagine, it doesn't really work as intended. So, not to spoil too much, you can do like that support side where you can, because some people were tanking the medical supplies, and then they would like sell it in massive numbers, and no one else could profit from it or whatever. But you could also risk by piling it up over the weekend, just losing it because Star Citizen. But you can also go around and scan and find like destroyed Starfares and find boxes in them. The problem with this, for me, obviously, there's FPS combat, which I guess people will start thinking that I just hate FPS combat, but it's not that. I played Quake 3 and 2 for most of my youth or whatever. I love FPS combat. That's not a problem. It's just how it doesn't work right now. And he actually showed some moments where he would just die out of nowhere and stuff like it. It's just like it just doesn't work, man. And
well, I mean, it's either that or they're just standing around like dummies while you know,
it's very
pop them in the head.
It's disturbing.
It's just
kind of. I just don't get any good feel from it. But what blew my mind in a positive way, I know no one's going to believe this because I'm going to be positive for a moment, is big cargo boxes that you can move around with your what's the
Tractor
name?
beam tool,
Tractor beam, attachment. So basically it's just the same as Xenotrat. Where you pick out the small ones from whatever, the big box. But then there are these huge white boxes, and I was looking at them and I'm like, wait, what is this? It looks different. And then one of the people on the video takes it, and I'm like, oh, you can move them around, which is great for the jumping puzzles and everything. And then he said you can sell them, actually, which is, it could be one of those things where it's just like small boxes skinned into a big one, which is very disappointing.
The only project where you get super excited at big boxes.
But even then, you're like cautious because I don't know, is this actually something that I should be excited for, or is it just like a skin for a small box?
No, I think it is, because we have the cargo refactor that we know that they've been working on, so it's possible that this was just something that they were able to kind of put in there. But it is cool. So for anybody who isn't aware, the boxes that you can pick up right now are not one full SCU, but the boxes that they were able to pick up, the little boxes.
Oh, little one is not.
But that big box was a full like SCU of medical supplies, which is
worthless shit. But it's amazing visually, right? Because something is changing with cargo, which is I mean, when you watch that Constellation Taurus video, right, and you see all these like boxes, Tetris like packed up different ways, you're like, that's what I want to do, man, like, and then you go in and you're like, oh, I don't even see my cargo. Okay, it's there. Whatever. So this is to again, we last week we talked about how we wouldn't do this and spend 10 hours plus a week to deliver the show once a week if we didn't love it. And then we got some really interesting replies there. We're like, that doesn't really prove that you don't like it or whatever. But this is how little I need to get excited. Like, honestly, it's big not boxes. Guys, like I really love it. If there's something, if something happens, then I'm like, oh shit, this is something, The problem is it's covered in a sea of things that I really don't like, which is just maybe current development, and that's okay. That's why I'm not giving up.
That was kind of where I was going, and what we were talking about in the pre-show a bit was that I feel like Ninetales, after playing it a little bit and watching various videos, it just feels really unfinished, like the combat, this was something that we disagreed with in the pre-show, but like the combat, doesn't adjust. It doesn't adjust the amount of pirates, for example, that spawn depending on how many people are there. So like it spawned like 5 ships and there was 10 of us there. So it just like basically, it was basically just a raffle stomp, which kind of made the whole thing feel a little bit, I don't know, less interesting.
But if only 3 of you showed up, would it be more interesting then?
Well, I mean, I probably would have been able to shoot something, which would have made it
Yeah.
marginally more interesting.
So here's my take. Like, it should be challenging up to some, because I don't want dynamic. I don't want scaling in Star Citizen at any case.
I want it right now.
This is yeah, but they need to like develop that for this alpha event. Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah.
And then remove it? I mean, okay. This is literally the reason I stopped playing World of Warcraft current version or whatever, like the latest expansions, because everything scales with you.
Yeah.
Then nothing, you leveling up or coming in numbers doesn't feel any different. Even the raid size scales, you can go with like any number from 10 to 20 and it's the same fucking crap. And that's Star Citizen. Again, it's one of those things where I would be like, cool, I'll follow this project, but I'm not gonna play it.
Well, we don't. Well, okay. To be absolutely clear, that's obviously not the intention, because they flat out said that they want the difficulty of events and things like that to be determined basically by the Quanta system. So if you jumped in and the Ninetales had an Idris and a fleet of fighters, it doesn't matter if you jumped in there with 2 people or 20 people. They have an Idris and a fleet of fighters, because that's you know, like. And that's the way it's supposed to work. But all I'm saying right now is that, like, is my minimal experience with it on the combat side, it just was, it felt very, it felt kind of clunky and unfinished. And again, with the, like, the cargo aspect side of things, you know, like you can try to get medical supplies, but like good luck finding stock anywhere, because the cargo system's supply and demand is completely broken. You can try to find these wrecks and offload anything, but again, if you watch this morph video, see that they spent, what did they say, 20 minutes, half an hour,
45 minutes.
Yeah, loading up the medical supplies onto it, and
for a total of 20,000 alpha UC for how many people? For like
5 people, so $4,000 each.
5 people, man.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing. Like the other thing that kind of doesn't really feel finished is like only the person who hands in the cargo gets the reputation and gets the money. It doesn't automatically split, you know, between your party or anything like that. Which
that's
means
the worst
basically
part.
that
like so money, it doesn't really matter. Like, right, we can split
sure.
It's okay.
But it does, though. Like it matters insofar as it means that the event doesn't feel. And okay, yeah, sure, it's the first time they're doing like an event like this. I get it. But
I think it's important to say what does not feel good, though, right?
Yes, yeah, it is, yeah, right. And that's exactly it. Like it didn't.
The reputation, though, that's fucked up, dude. Because this event just shows how bare bones and actually bad for the game reputation system is. Because if we didn't have reputation right now, like, I'm not saying long term, obviously reputation is like backbone of Star Citizen, so backbone of progression. But like currently, really, if you didn't have reputation, you wouldn't care about like joining the other side, because you have nothing to lose, right? So you could like jump back and forth, play around, test things on both sides, both ends, whatever. Then if you wouldn't care who sells it, because right, you split the money anyways. But right now, the reputation is very detrimental for your gameplay, which is kind of sad. And because in reality, even though some people find it fun, the reputation right now doesn't give you anything. Like, literally nothing. It's just, a number on UI. You can't buy anything with it. You can't, like, you get better. It just gates missions that previously you just didn't see it, like, happening, and that's it. Right? So obviously, once reputation becomes something more interesting, it's going to be amazing. But I think that's another factor. And I wonder if they knew this will happen or not. Or it's like, but again, I asked. My idea was just throw it out, man. Like, it's an alpha, right? Just be honest about it. Don't call it a game or whatever. Just throw it in an alpha and let us play and tell you how shitty things feel, and then work on it, or what works, because again, like it was the same thing with Xenothreat, right? Like, Xenothreat obviously felt unfinished the first time they felt
put it
so
through.
much better than this, though.
But like it did, like there were the aspects of it that felt really good, like the whole grouping up and being able to kind of cooperate whether you were doing the combat side of things or the
people would
or
just
the
chill
support side of things
in Jericho for no fucking reason. Like that's how good it was. And
I'm not even really trying to compare them necessarily. Just say that there were aspects of Xenothreat that worked and that I feel like was communicated, and Ninetales I struggle a little bit, though I will admit, like, it was just that one experience I had, and I'm certain that there are probably, like we pointed out earlier, there are probably other people who had kind of more of a balanced kind of experience, but there's some inherent
people who had a lot of fun
with it.
were groups who would have fun anyways. Like these are, you can't like, it's important for Xenothreat, you just go there and you have fun, you know what I mean? Regardless, you can go with a group and that's amazing, or you can go alone and then enjoy the whole MMO thing on your own, or meet friends. Like I literally have friends who came there with Auroras, and I would buy them ships in game, right? I would give them money and tell them where to go, and then the whole server helps them to go and get Cutlass Black and come back and help us, and it was so much fun. Right here, I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel.
Here's what I was gonna say basically, and the reason I think the big difference here is that the the Ninetales thing is, there's so many what's the word I'm looking for? There's more moving pieces to it, right? And that's where, like, I think for me the reason that it wasn't particularly fun and was kind of boring is because it was missing like one of those moving pieces, which is supposed to be the other side actually trying to play against you, right? And that I think was kind of the what made this feel,
it's dangerous though,
unfinished, is that like if one of those sides that's there, that's supposed to make the experience feel fun, is not there, then you end up with a kind of a weird repetitive one-sided experience. And I don't think it really comes across. It doesn't show what Ninetales was supposed to be, right?
It's the server size, man. It's like 50 people or less on the server. Then there's another thing, like people side with the winning side. And I watched Captain Burks demolish people trying to accomplish this. Guess what? No one did it, and Ninetales won because he showed up on a server with 30 other people with hammerheads and whatnot, and what can you do? what can you do? You can't win. And then that's another problem with the server limitation. Now I don't want to blame the game for this, because it's ridiculous. It's a limitation we have to just accept, and some events will just not work with this. That's the factual reality. Like, that, what can we do?
You know what I just remembered? Do you remember all those like way back in Burning Crusade in World of Warcraft? Well, actually, you just played it.
I remember everything because I just
like Hellfire Citadel and stuff like that, and how
you can't summon anyone because there's another side camping it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it sounds kind of like basically Star Citizen with Ninetales tried to do a similar like open world PvP thing, but that was one thing that almost never worked in World of Warcraft, because like you said, like one side shows up and is dominant, and anybody else who kind of like, exactly, they're just like, okay, else. Well, I'll
come back later. Because actually so in, I know we're like talking about World of Warcraft again, but it's actually a great example, because in classic, like the vanilla World of Warcraft, you had this whole zone that had open world PvP with the towers. If you remember, Eastern Plaguelands had open world PvP, and whoever controls 4 towers has flight mounts around them, but there was no incentive for it. Like, you don't get anything. You get honor for killing another player, but that's it. And then they always wanted open world PvP. So what they did when the Burning Crusade came out, they made every zone had open world PvP with currency that drops if you're controlling towers, flags, whatever the fuck is happening. And then for this currency,
special rewards,
you could buy, right, like level 62 blue sword, for example, for tanking, or I don't know, So what ended up happening is that, like, people would take turns, right? So in there's a mount in Hala in Nagrand, and people would just take it, and then the opposing faction would just wait and then when the timer runs out, they're just gonna swarm it, take it, and then for next 2 hours they have it, and there was never a fucking war. Like it never sparked a war. There is a better way to make it though, like for sure. You know, we're talking about like many years old game.
Yeah, well, this is, but more so, I guess what I was trying to get at by bringing WoW up at this point. I mean, we've constantly talked about how CIG could benefit to, like, you know, to try to learn more from other games that are out there, and I feel like this is potentially one of those examples where they could have maybe attempted to avoid some of the pitfalls that have been, you know, experienced by other games like World of Warcraft that have tried to do open world PvP. Because yeah, now that and this is funny, I'm literally just kind of like stream of consciousness right now. Like I hadn't thought about this until literally just now, but like, yeah, that was essentially what Ninetales lockdown is supposed to be. And in World of Warcraft anyways, it never really worked.
It did like work in New World, but it was too short of a period of time to know if it would work like long term. You need to.
I didn't get to play.
Here's the thing. Yeah. I don't think anyone. I feel like 90+% of people will be blue, and only orgs or, you know, people around streamers will do red because they can group up and do something. Yeah, the problem is there's no, like, if you are a bad guy in Star Citizen right now, the only thing to do in Star Citizen right now is make money and buy ships, which is not too much of an incentive anymore. But if you are a bad guy, you're gonna make money 10 times slower, and you're just being hunted down all the time. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not fun. It's just not fun. There's no risk reward. There's just risk for the sake of risk. The reward is not even better. Like the freaking even at the bottom where like the cargo missions, the box missions, whatever, they reward you more, but you have to go to like 5 places to make fucking drugs and be able to like deliver them something. And at each step you can get caught by NPCs, by players, you know, by a fucking ship exploding for no reason and ending in a prison, right? So there's no one just plays
the people who are playing red now are playing because they want that risk, right? Like they want those kind of interactions.
It's like content for people.
but you're right though. It doesn't really allow for much of a spectrum of players to play that way. So you're right. Like right now, you end up with most people playing on blue. So
right, they're spread on like 50 people's servers. So you're gonna end up and that kind of breaks it right now, where you are either going to have your experience and it's gonna be like super easy and you're gonna kick Ninetales out, or you're gonna be on a Berg server where like 5 people tried to do it. There was no fucking way because everyone else was on Ninetales' side. And by the way, that felt very unrewarding and anticlimactic because
I guess
at the end they just disappear and that's it. Like,
though, to be fair, this did, like, I was gonna say, like, one of the differences with other MMOs is that you could call in, you know, like if the one faction is dominating an area, you can call in more people, you know, and you aren't limited to that.
Well, when the incentive is important.
However, okay, yes, because that's what I was gonna say. Like,
and I'll give you an example if you want. Like,
sure,
really strong example.
Just let me
finish it. Yeah.
In this case, like that incentive has to be strong, because otherwise, what I've experienced in other MMOs with these kind of open world, like PvP events and stuff like that, is that you can call for help, but like, you know, people probably aren't gonna actually come and assist you unless you're in like an organization.
What if they can't even get into your server, right? So there's so many.
Well, I just mean basically, like, even if server constraints weren't an issue,
sure. Well, here's the thing,
like,
though.
You still might struggle to find, you know, to get the interest, you know, for people to come and actually help, unless you have like a guild or something who wants to.
Yeah, the core. But again, you need. Well, if they have nothing to do, but like. Here's the thing, like in World of Warcraft, we're going back to that because we just talked about it, but there's other games as well. Like if we're talking about this preset PP events, and you're like trying to get your marks or whatever, and you're in a guild and you're like, guys, I'm trying to get these marks. for me, right? I need them.
Yeah.
I'm the only one. And the horde is around here and they're kicking my butt. Would you come here and help me? Who's like, why? What for you to get 3 marks you can get later? Like, come on, man. You're like, However, if a group of 3 people are trying to summon fort and there's like 30 horde players raiding at the same stone and not allowing you to summon, and then another group tries to summon people there, this is like a crucial game mechanic, right? So someone cannot make it in an hour and a half, right? So now the entire lines, if the horde is camping, I'm just not taking sides, just saying, will gather around the fucking stone and kick them out of there so that they can use the stone, because both sides use the same stone. And sometimes they use it in peace, right? But then there's that one rogue that is not in any groups that will fucking cheap shot someone, and then the war starts.
Just
right?
tosses
and this
tosses
is so
a
simple,
lighter
right?
on a pile of.
It's like a super simple incentive, but there needs to be something, is what I'm saying. Like there needs to be some, but the games are not going to do this anymore because it's too punishing, right? It's just like the timers, right? Like the timers for this event where you see like it happens out of nowhere. It's so fucking amazing until it happens. I mean, until we have it, and then people are frustrated, like me. Like we're all frustrated because we get in, play for 5 hours, there's no event, and I'm like, fucking hell, this is why I logged in, and it never fucking happened, you know?
Yeah. This is kind of a tangent. Well, no, this is definitely a tangent, but I think really what we could actually probably have this as a topic sometimes, like what would make more people play on the other side of the law. And I think it's just really just broadening the depth of the gameplay on the other side, because like you were saying, right, like if you go criminal, you're just basically limiting the options of what you can do. Like there isn't a 50-50 split. And I'm not necessarily saying there should be a 50-50 split.
There isn't 40-60 split.
Term.
There's no split.
Exactly. There's like a 80-20 kind of a thing. Not even,
because if you think about it, like, well, let's put it this way. What do you have the same, not better, like just the same on the unlawful side as you have on lawful side, right? If you're lawful, you can do delivery missions. You can technically do them on unlawful side, but you have to be careful not to end up in the prison. The bounty hunting you have on unlawful side, but if you die at any point, and you can die now, you end up in the prison, really, and it's not giving you more money. No, you can always get, like, if you're in Green Hacks, you can always go and hunt down cops, kind of. UE NPCs. I don't know if you tried it, but it's a thing. But it doesn't scale up. Like you don't get Arlington Gang or anything like that. So there's no like
kind of what I'm saying, right?
Then if you are lawful, you can go hunt down unlawful player for a good reward. It's annoying and stupid right now because people just log out or just jump.
Yeah.
But you can. It's an option. As an unlawful player, you cannot kill someone who, killed 10 pirates and claim, 9 tails bounty or whatever. Like, there's literally, like, everything you do, the risk is ending up in fucking prison, which is definitely not a fun gameplay. And even if you don't, you're not making more money. You're just, like, going through so many hoops to get it. And in essence, the gameplay is the same.
Yeah, but that I think is the issue, and that's something that I think could potentially have made Ninetales more interesting. Is if we had kind of like more of a broader underworld gameplay, you might just have more of your player base on that side and potentially willing to engage in an event like this. So, that'd be interesting. This is something I'd like to see in the next, like, I don't know, however many patches. I'd like to see an underworld patch.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Well, I guess Pyro might be a part. Right? Pyro might be a part of that, but I just mean like
if it's like not, we just it's gonna be so disappointed to every, like, because how people are like clinging on that one branch that is called server meshing for like the game to. Yeah. I think unlawful players are doing the same for Pyro. They're like, we're okay because Pyro is coming. If Pyro comes. And it's not better gameplay for pirates or whatever, like unlawful gameplay. It's gonna be some heartbreaks there, man. Like big
you know
time.
what? Yeah, like I think that's the other thing. Like I think people automatically equate illegal gameplay with PvP, and that's not even necessarily what I'm saying. In fact, I think I'm saying specifically the opposite. I would like to see more unlawful PvE gameplay, just to make it feel like there's more of a game there. And with Pyro, absolutely, that's what I want to see. I want to see, more PvE
cool.
missions for the unlawful side of things, so that people can go there and feel like they're still just playing Star Citizen. They're just playing basically for a different faction, instead of like playing in ultra hard mode, basically with like big time repercussions if you fuck up.
Personal experience. I made an alt account to play an unlawful character. And I tried many times on streams, obviously. And I ended up playing lawful side every time after 1 or 2 days, because there's stuff to do, but it's like so stressful for no fucking reason, and it's not enjoyable.
There's some stuff to do, but there's not really, like, there's not anywhere close to as much stuff to do as there is on the other side.
I'm sure, but there is stuff, especially if you're a new player. Like, so I would start with Aurora, and doing unlawful stuff. I would get to a Titan. I would get enough money to make it, a Titan worth fighting in before dispatch, obviously, when you could. But the problem is, like, whatever I do, like, I'm always, you can't. I wanted to play like stealthy builds or whatever, but you can't hide. You can't hide. There's no, if you're unlawful, you cannot hide. There's no stealth gameplay, right?
Because you have a marker on you.
And you're just you just get, and then out of nowhere, like, I'm doing something, reading chat, like doing a delivery, or just I have no clue what the fuck happened. I just ate a fucking torpedo or something, and someone claimed my bounty, and that's it. It's like I didn't really have a chance to retaliate or hide or do anything. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, like some people might say, oh, we'll just turn off the comm arrays, but like, is that really realistic?
Come on.
Like, should you have to avoid comm arrays constantly if you were like a petty criminal? I don't know.
Yes, I think I think so. And this goes back to what we talk about a lot, which is like lawful, unlawful gameplay, and how the game would protect you. And I think that's good enough, because if you are, let's say, Dark Law, so that I don't take Cutlet every time, but like, let's say you're a Dark Law and you are willing to fight, you want people to come to you, and you want to be the badass, pirate that just kicks everyone's butt because great at flying. Like, if he's outnumbered, he's gonna fly into a cave and then kick your butts there and whatnot, like the whole thing. And he will play in a system like Stanton, right, where he can be found. He wants to be tracked down, and then you remember his name, right? Like, he kicked your butt. Then if you are me and you just want to play like shady gameplay, stealthy and whatnot, I'm gonna go to Pyro and play that, right? Because chances of me being ass kicked, I mean, there's always a chance, right? But there I can enjoy my shady gameplay and sometimes take a risk to go to Stanton to do something and come back, right? And then you, Maso, for example, I'm just taking examples, right? You want to play completely lawful gameplay, you're gonna have the same gameplay maybe in Terra, right? But sometimes we have to meet in Pyro. We can sit in a bar and then someone can die or whatever. that does, like, that is part of it, right? Like obviously the system that you're in should kind of determine potentially, like, what sort of illegal gameplay there is for you. So you're right, like doing illegal shit in Stanton maybe is a little bit more limited, but than, for example, in Pyro, but also you probably would be making a ton more because it's way riskier, right? Whereas, for example, the illegal stuff that you're doing in Terra is probably going to be like almost nothing, except for the ultra high risk potential smuggling run or assassination mission that you have to try to pull off if you're I don't know. But yeah, like, I'm not saying that every system should have like as much illegal gameplay as there is legal gameplay. I'm just thinking, like, right now in the Stanton system, There's nowhere to hide. That's the first
there's nothing that incentivizes.
No, not at all.
There's not enough to incentivize people to play on the other side of the law.
Okay, so I'm just gonna. I totally did not peek into your chat and figured out that we are kind of maybe not just explaining this the right way, and this might trigger more people. And so here's what I want to, how I see lawful versus unlawful gameplay.
I suppose I've answered in chat when I wasn't supposed to a couple times, so I suppose I owe you a couple. So
I think it's important because we did not really, I'm not gonna like read or anything, I'm just gonna say this. Like, I feel like any gameplay you choose, like any profession you choose, be it a bounty hunter or whatever the name would be on the other side, or explorer or
miner,
scientist,
salvaging,
miner. You can be either lawful or unlawful. So for me, it's just like choosing a faction, basically. It's just choosing a faction, not really. So let's say, so for me personally, right now in this current gameplay that we have, there's only basically one thing that I really enjoy, and that's delivery missions. And currently they're shit. They're really bad. They exist, but they're bad. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do delivery missions on lawful side and on unlawful side on two different accounts, see how it is and whatnot. And therefore, like from that perspective, it just feels really bad doing like anything you can do on lawful side just feels much better than anything you can do like mirror on the unlawful side, because more hoops to jump through, no reason to do it, like except for saying I'm a bad guy. That's literally the only thing like, it's almost like bragging rights, and that's it. And who do you brag to anyways? Because server to server, no one can remember your name or whatever, except for if you're like a content creator. That's different.
Yeah.
Did we ever talk about this? We must have. What are your I mean, this is so off topic, we gotta keep it short, but like what are your game loops? Like,
for me?
Yeah.
Oh, what am I aiming to do? Oh, like long term or now?
No, long term.
Long term, I don't know, man. That's kind of the thing. Like, honestly, everything appeals to me.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which, like I want to try science gameplay. I want to try obviously space trucking, because I love space trucking. So
yeah, I feel like space trucking will be like 80% of people will do space trucking on a side, and then there will be some people who only do that, right?
Yeah. Like I could, if we're gonna say primarily, like what my primary gameplay would be for making money, that's probably going to be like mostly what I do. But I also really want to get involved in like big mining operations in
or industrial kind of.
Yeah, if I had to say, I think it's actually just kind of like
it's like
organization gameplay.
What's your like which class? Like you know what I mean? Like what would you organize? Yeah, okay. Because I don't feel like people need to do one thing in the game. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, like what you're like
it,
looking
right?
forward most, and what you're gonna see yourself in space, right?
Yeah, like it's so hard to pick because I'm honestly like every profession except for maybe medical. I'm not super interested in medical. Like I'm just like, oh, I'd try that, like, oh, I want to try that, like definitely. But like being a part of big industrial like things where you have like people, like yeah, I guess really that's how I'd have to narrow it down, like co-op org gameplay. Like that's what really, like, I love doing that in like survival games where like you get like a group of friends together and it's like, like you have a goal and you all kind of work together and just kind of fill whatever role you have to kind of make that goal happen. So for me, that would be like my primary loop. If I was to say hauler, I would probably be doing like space trucking and hauling, but like preferably for a organization based like industrial thing. So if they're mining, I'd be potentially showing up, taking all the pods off of the Orion into a
we need to make this short. I don't want to talk about this. I just ask you like,
I'm sorry,
I know I'm gonna stop you. For me, it's exploration and probably delivery stuff, and that's
capital ship combat. capital
I don't
ship
care about
combat.
that. Like I want to be part of it at some point, like randomly when I feel like. But like for some other people, like I don't care about being like super involved into this at all. But I want it to be a big part of the game, though. I want to talk about it. I want to know about it. But no, yeah. I mean, listen. I'm a photographer and I stream for a living, but I still go and play basketball, right? Like that doesn't matter, right? Like you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You have your main profession in a sandbox game, but like, okay, so lawful or unlawful? You don't know.
Gray.
Or
that's the thing.
gray?
Like
I hope that's gonna be a thing, though.
Yeah, like I definitely don't have any opposition to doing illegal shit.
Wherever the org goes that you feel good in.
Well, technically the organization I'm involved in is like strictly anti-piracy, so I probably won't be doing any piracy, but there's nothing in there that says I couldn't smuggle every now and then. Or like my whole thing with crime is like I will do crime, I'm just going to do it in a way that I don't get caught. That's always going to be my focus.
If the game allows that, though, that's another thing. Like we'll see. If that's because right now you can't.
Right now it doesn't, but they have said that they want it to be, you know,
I know.
something where you can kind of and that's yeah. I would say morally gray. Like I don't have any problems with doing illegal shit. I just, you know, like it's got to be worth my time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be worth the inconvenience.
Well, basically you don't have a preference for like which side to be on, right?
No.
I don't think I do either.
I'll go with wherever's fun. I don't see myself going like hardcore pirate, even though it does sound like it could be pretty fun. But initially,
I think I'm gonna go one side. I just don't know which one. I don't care. But like because I kind of feel like progression through, you know, ranks and whatnot will be an interesting gameplay in a game that's made by Chris Roberts. So I don't want to be gray. I want to side with something. I still don't know what. Whatever feels good at the moment.
I will probably be mostly lawful. But like, you know, but I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't say no to the odd, you know, illegal high payoff mission or something.
Or maybe illegal. We don't know. No one knows. Okay, so to sum it up, the Ninetales feels kind of unfinished, which is kind of normal for an alpha game. And to me personally, not really.
No, I feel like it missed the mark.
It's not making me want to go and play the game at all. Like
no,
Xenothreat
it's not
really
like
did.
Xenothreat.
Yeah,
exactly. Xenothreat was great. It was fun. I wanted to keep playing it. And
in a way, that's not wrong though, right? Xenothreat is like a big one-time event, Kappa. And this is like something that should be happening on regular basis, like you know, a gang trying to take over something. So it shouldn't be like crazy good, right? It should be just a regular thing that happens in space, right?
Oh, that's fair. That's an interesting way to look at it. Anyways,
I'm not always negative, but the implementation right now is just lacks a lot. Which I mean, it's a start. So if this stays in the game for a long time, then like it can just get better, right?
Sure, yeah, and I feel like it might maybe it feels better when you know, like you do have like a good blend of red and blue players, so that, you know, so
they will have to work on that like big time, right?
Yeah, I know, but that's the part I'm skeptical about. As per our previous conversation, like I don't know if they'll ever manage to get that, given my experience in other MMOs. I can't.
I mean, that could be okay as well, as long as like it chains to another event where like liberation of the station or whatever, you know, like where you can enjoy that as well, and then you have more time to like get, you know, people and then go together and get Cruel One back or whatever, you know, like that's it's kind of okay. I mean, I guess people not stay there to protect. It's not their base, right? It's an NPC base.
Well, I guess you're right too. You know, like if that does end up being the case where it's not, you know, like it's not. You know, now that I think about it again, in those other MMOs, like even when it was getting, you know, totally camped by one overwhelming side, like it was fine. You just go do something else, right? And like I guess like if Ninetales, if this event was like you said, just kind of like something that happens
on the map, there's something
every now and then.
There. Yeah, if there's nothing else to do, go and do that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like then that's fine. You know, if it kind of was just more part of that like dynamic feeling universe instead of like an event that we're all focused on, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what it is. We're being focused on because there's nothing happening and that's a new thing, but in reality that's not what it's supposed to be, right? Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, it's supposed to be just like something that pops up and happens when when the balance tips too far in either direction, based on content stuff.
We're doing really good. This is definitely going to be the shortest episode ever. We just started with news and we were 1 hour in, so I guess I was wrong again. There's a big issue, and we did not even talk about this earlier, but you added it to the news and I completely forgot about it, even though I wanted to talk about it, and that's free flight.
Oh, the free flight. Yeah, right.
What a bad time to have a free flight. Why now? Why now?
And normally I'm just kind of like, whatever, just do it whenever, because even last, not this fleet week, but the fleet week before, so would have been 2020 fleet week. I don't know if you remember that.
Was Xenothreat, actually. That was so the free flight ended, and then the day after Xenothreat started, or something or the other way around, something like that. I think it was like that, yeah.
I don't know. All I remember
remember? Like, it was so silly because they were.
No, that wasn't the Xenothreat. It was the event before that. It was the Fleet Week one where it was like earlier on in 2020. So
wait, are we
March.
talking about what's the name? What's it, Invictus?
Yes.
But listen, it was Invictus the same month. That's how long ago Xenothreat started. The same month you had Xenothreat, and they were.
Oh, you mean when we were getting the transmissions and stuff?
Well, yeah, and they were marketing it as free flight, and they were like, UE, Xenothreat, this, that, and then the moment the Xenothreat started, they end the free flight event, and people were like, wait, what? We don't get to try this?
I thought Xenothreat happened more like later to the end of the.
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I think it was right after.
Okay, but the point I was trying to make is that they did a free flight around Invictus, so it would have been like early 2020, and it was atrocious. Like nobody could stay connected. People who downloaded the game for the free flight couldn't even get into the game. There was like huge queues. 30Ks were happening like all the time, and for the most part, it was still just like, the chat was pretty positive. It was like, I don't know, like, how do I do this? What do I do? Like just normal kind of new player interactions happening and stuff like that. This time is definitely different. Like at least the
survey. It's like it's your experience, right?
Well, the 3 or 4 times I've played, man, there's just like new people being like, what the fuck is this? Like, yeah, so yes, this normally I'm just kind of like, whatever, do a free flight, whatever, because people seem to join and have fun. Anecdotally, from my perspective, this time is different. I'm definitely seeing a lot more people like very salty,
upset,
like
yeah,
like
okay,
so, which is weird because performance wise, honestly, with the 0.1 patch 314.1, it's been pretty stable for me, and
for you, I've seen people
been hearing
struggle a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's back to like personal experience. It's hard to imagine our people are struggling when we're having good experience, and this is something that plays in Star Citizen in general, as both of us know.
But I think it is pretty. It's pretty well known that 314 to 314.1, 314.1 is quite a bit better than the original was for most people, anyways.
For what? Like for what exactly? Like desync is the same.
Yeah, it's true. And some servers are really bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just like if you're a new player, you end up on a bad server. Like, what the fuck do you understand that it's a bad server or whatever? Like, that's. I don't know. Look, so here's the thing. Like, first of all, I was bombarded with "This is Star Citizen" video again on like all of my platforms for some reason. Like, they just started popping. I don't know how they do it, but like, I woke up, I checked my phone, and like in Google Feed, there's like, "This is Star Citizen." It takes me to the page where there's a fucking video that we all love, right? And then they kick in free flight. What? Why now? Why now? Why not SitCon? What is the reason to have a free flight now?
Well, they probably will do one for CitizenCon as well. Actually, that's something that's interesting. Now that I think about it, I've seen more free flights
Yes.
than I think I ever have.
Yeah. That
in
in general,
year.
that's the thing, and they should like say something about it, because when I came to the game, it was patch 3.7, and people were asking me, and then my stream my chat would be like, no, tell people to wait for the free flights. And I was like, yeah, there was no free flights for like 8 months since I'm playing, and so I can't tell people to wait for that. That's ridiculous, you know? And then they were like, well, usually they're every 3 months or something. And I was like, I don't know, man. In my experience, it's been, very long time and no free flights. And you're right, now we're getting free flights much more often, but they're kind of like, when it comes to like timelines and official like announcements and everything, it's kind of a clusterfuck. I don't even know. I mean, I knew about this free flight, but I wasn't really aware of it, kind of, you know what I mean?
Right. So basically the free flights are just starting to happen at more seemingly arbitrary times. That's probably what this is, honestly. Like, why is there a free flight now? I don't know. Why not? Like, if it ultimately, even if
why
10%,
not? Because it's one of the worst patches that we've had. That's why not. You just added Horizon that doesn't fucking work. Every huge media is talking about Star Citizen having their own cloud city. So guess where the new players will go? To a fucking lag show.
I actually had to like lead my brother out of Orison because his frame rate was so bad in there, and he spawned there because he wanted to see the Cloud City, as you do. And like he doesn't have a terrible computer, actually. Like, it's not top end or anything, but he's got like a 1070 3800X for a processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and an SSD.
Not enough
and
anymore.
It's not enough in Orison, that's for sure. Like, I had to literally lead him to the hangars, like step by step, as he's like slide showing his way through there, just to get him off of the planet. Because once you're there, if if your performance is so bad that you can't actually like do anything, you're kind of stuck there unless you do a character reset, right?
And then the game crashes.
Which happened, yes, yeah.
Or 30k or whatever.
It took us over an hour just to get him off.
That's crazy. So that's a great free flight experience. That's it. No, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Like, fuck it.
Even if 5 or 10% of the people who play end up buying, ultimately it's still worth their time.
What time? They're not investing time into making a free flight event.
Wrong word then. It's worth it for them from a monetary perspective.
Well, I mean, you're building long-term, hatred. I don't know. I mean, whatever.
There's already long-term hatred.
Yeah, but it's like they could have. I don't know. It's just. Well, I don't like it. Whatever. I think it's a really bad time for it. You're trying to make it better, but I don't know why. Honestly, even your note says it's wrong time. I'm like, what are you trying to say, Maso?
Well, I'm trying to get into like see things from where they're seeing it. And if all they're seeing it as is like, we do a free fly and our numbers go up this much, then I don't know, I guess it kind of makes sense. But I'm with you insofar as like, feels rough. But then again, I've also said that before, like for example, Last Invictus, and they made more money than they've ever made.
Whatever, money, I don't even think I want to talk about money anymore with this game. I don't know.
We got SCL and ISC.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot in them. SCL was Turbulent Montreal, which, and it's basically just like a big meet and greet for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's like kind of like seeing meeting some of the Turbulent people for the first time. It wasn't, this is an SCL you could have skipped, to be honest, but I watched it because, I don't know, it kind of felt good. It's Montreal, so it's like my country, and I was like, all the French Canadian accents. I was like, oh, I recognize these accents. Jared has never had poutine, turns out. So
what a dumbass.
That's one thing. That's one thing I learned. Yeah,
it's like one of the best things ever.
Yeah. Other than that,
I gotta say, man, like I usually watch SCLs, right? You're usually the ones that skips them. This time you watch it for. I would almost say like a personal reason, and if there was like a studio from Serbia working on it, I would watch it, of course, and giggle and whatnot. It would be interesting. But for me, ISC was bad, and then SCL was just like cherry on top, but a rotten cherry. And it's like,
yeah.
Last week we had an SCL that talks about QA in general. It has nothing to do with Star Citizen, honestly. Like, we're just like, of course, it's like people who work for Star Citizen, but it was just talking about like QA in general. There was nothing really.
Okay. Fast forward though, because like if people want, like, people can just go watch that episode.
Yeah, and then this one again. It's just like, how is it to work for a studio as a developer? And this is not even CIG. This is Turbulent, right? So, which, I mean, they work on the same project and everything, but like, I'm happy that these people are having good time working for Turbulent, and I really hope and believe that CIG and Turbulent are amazing places to work at. I'm super happy that when we had those allegations and everything, when Blizzard has allegations, people like snail in, and then when it explodes, it's like chaos all over the place. Here, there were allegations, and people who work for CIG jumped out and like, no, we're fine, shut up, and
So
that
for people who are listening,
like, that's important.
For people who are listening, rewinding, we're talking about like back when Texas was having the issues over the winter, and there was a couple of those articles that came out, saying that, CIG made their employees work through, an emergency and blah blah blah, and yeah, like Chegg was saying, like, most of the people who work there were like, whoa.
It was so nice, like on Twitter, like,
no.
people, like popping, like, nope, I'm fine. I got the care package. I don't have to work. I don't have, like. It's like really seems like a really healthy work relationship, and I'm mind blown about it. I'm so happy for it. But when nothing is really happening and the content that comes from the studio it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just not satisfying to me.
That's fair.
Sorry, I don't know.
I will say, like, yes, most of this was basically just kind of outlining how, like, you did get to see, like, that they're obviously like a team, and there's some, there's some, like you said, like, it seems like a cool place to work. A lot of the people seem to like know each other and have worked together before and stuff like that, but it didn't really give us any new news on like what is Turbulent doing. And that I will say, like, I mean, I get that that's frustrating, because like Turbulent, for example, one of the things we constantly see in the monthly reports is like Turbulent's working on server meshing. I want to hear more about that. This was a whole thing about Turbulent, and they didn't mention server meshing at all. Which is kind of frustrating.
It's also this is not a bad episode necessarily. I just feel like it's like bad timing for me personally. Like, if there was a bunch of info that I care for, like 2 ISCs in a row or something, what happened? I can hear you, but you disappeared. Oh, you're back.
Oh God, now you're back. Whoa.
Was it me?
No. Well, I don't know.
I can see you again.
Okay. We're back.
I hear you the entire time. Okay. So basically,
hiccup.
Yeah. On one of our sides. It's good that it continues. So basically, if we had like 2 or 3 weeks or a bunch of information on IC and things were happening in game, and then they have an episode about people who work for Turbulent, man, there's nothing. It's wholesome. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't mind it. But like right now, I need something for a year to happen. Like, honestly, I need that CitizenCon to give me something. I think your internet is still like either mine or yours.
Yeah, it might be mine, because I was the one who hung there, which is really weird because I have like fiber.
Well, I have fiber as well, but like, hiccup is a hiccup. But now it seems okay.
I guess so. I think you're right. Like, like it. But part of me wonders if this too was like part of what I was talking about, like how we're getting to this situation where they're like holding their cards to their chest because they have CitizenCon coming up. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't change anything. It just
it doesn't. At the end of the day, there's got to be, like I said, I mean, like it would have been nice to have some nuggets from Turbulent about like, what are you guys working on server meshing wise? And
it's like people lost their shit in that ISC where, what's the name of the producer? I forgot shit. Well, I'm putting you on the spot.
Steph B, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, Steph B, yeah.
But actually, there was a lot of information about the game, right? So I was like, and then as it went on, I was like, okay, I'm getting stuff, you know, I'm being
you're learning about her
through someone else. That's okay, I don't mind that at all. But this was just like, and that's another thing. Well, like, it's an overall information about the industry rather than.
Yeah, they did later on in the episode. They did kind of like, they started talking a little bit more about like what they were working on and stuff like that. But it still was like very surface level. Like, for example, like they had a couple guys on there who were like procedural generation specialists, and they talked about how they're using hospitals to like test new procedural generation tools for like accelerating level design, not just on like, because we already know they use procedural generation to develop, well, for space stations too.
No, yeah,
you know,
true.
But like that's the big kind of, you know, map design stuff, and then the artists still have to go in and like smooth everything over and make things make a little bit more sense, etc. But in this case, they did talk a little bit about how, like, with the hospitals, they're trying to be able to use that same kind of procedural generation, but for more like the fine detail stuff and stuff like that. But that's about all we learned about, basically. It was like they wanted to make it so that, you know, there's just less artist input required in total. So not only do you get the room layout and stuff like that, you know, like you get cords running along the floor in certain directions and books on shelves, I think they used as an example, and you know, like all that kind of like sort of fine detail stuff, but again, like that's, you know, like that was kind of it. We got a little bit about like too, I think they mentioned that they're trying to roll game designers in with a lot of their like level designers and stuff like that, so that, you know, so that we're not just getting these locations that don't really have any gameplay with them, you know, like they're trying to make it so that, you know, they can kind of throw them out where you get the level design with the gameplay. I know, novel idea, but you know, like, yeah, like there was a couple little nuggets like that in there, but you're right, for the most part it was just kind of like meeting them, hearing about the industry, hearing about the game industry in Montreal specifically, where it's like everybody works for Ubisoft or has worked for Ubisoft at one point.
And again, I just want to say, like, the group of people there seems super nice. I mean, this is not a rant against these people working for Turbulent or anything. Like, no, they seem amazing. They're
if anything, I just like after this, I just want to go. Yeah, I just want to go hang out with them and throw axes and eat poutine.
I want to eat poutine so bad. I'm probably not going to eat it ever in my life again. But yeah, never say never, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. But before ISC, that, we had ISC. And and oh man,
it was a whole segment on hospitals, which we've been seeing nonstop for pretty much. I don't know.
I'm just so uninspired to talk about this. It's like,
well, skip it then.
We have this again, like where they just talk how amazing what they made is, and I guess I have to get used to it, but I don't think I will ever get used to it. So literally, in my culture, if you do this, you will never sell a product. That's how it works. Like, if you need word of mouth to come from somewhere else. Like, if you are glorifying your own product, you're never gonna sell it. That's how it works, because people look at you and be like, "Oh, this guy is a fucking full of shit. He's full of shit. He's a liar." You know, it's just strange. But I guess that's a cultural thing. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's okay, like, for these people who worked really hard on this to be excited about it. But again, like, it's the same issue that we had with Orison and with the like colonial outposts and stuff like that. Like, we were seeing so much of it every episode of ISC that it started to become less exciting when we actually saw it. Right, so like
for sure.
You know, like, we saw so much of like Orison under construction that by the time I actually saw it finished, I actually thought personally it was less impactful than, you know, than if they'd have been like we're working on Orison, you know, maybe gave us a few little snippets, and then like, bang, here it is finished, you know. Same thing with the hospitals, right? Like if we saw like, oh, we're working on hospitals, you know, couple little snippets here and there, and then we saw this segment, you know, ooh, pretty, you know, like, and I get it, you know, like you're excited about something, your teams worked really hard on something, definitely showcase, talk it up. I don't really care about that so much because, you know, but I still think that like,
you know what, like visually, I understand there, like, okay, so what do we hear though? Every city is getting their own hospital.
Yeah, and the stations have a clinic.
The only one that is like somewhat different. No surprise there. I think it's gonna be everyone's favorite place because it's very accessible as well. You don't need to use the elevator. Yeah. Every station has a clinic, which technically can do everything that the hospital can do. Their words, which is kind of strange, but okay.
I'm glad they're doing that right now.
It didn't seem like it's right now. It seems like that's the thing. Although these guys are developers, they're not like there to tell you, you know, how the game will work. Whatever, like long term. What really struck me is when they said, and I will quote here. Just give me a moment. Elevators are the biggest killers in the MMO industry, as we all know. And then at the end of IC, Jared confirmed this and said, so what did we learn this week? And I mean, the community, I don't even think the community is split. Like having an elevator is interesting experience once or twice, but then elevators are not only killing our characters. As a matter of fact, that's not really happening that much anymore. It's more that they're killing our time. Now I don't mind having a train in general, but like elevators are fucking, and I don't know, man. That just did not feel good to me. I don't know. The whole elevator mentioning.
I just shrugged that off, to be honest. Like at this point,
I guess I gotta learn how to shrug everything off. That's the way to do it.
Like I think it was like trying to lean into a meme, but it did kind of, I don't know. We all spend too much time in elevators at this point for that to be kind of funny. But anyway,
yeah, they don't. I don't know. Like these developers, they probably don't. I mean, they certainly don't play the game, right? Like they're stuck in like developing hospitals for like a year or more, God knows. And they're like, if they're playing, they're like probably like running around testing that shit and whatnot. So they probably have a completely different experience than what we do, right? When we play the game. So I'm not like blaming them necessarily, but like Jared like stomping on it at the end. I'm like, nah. But it doesn't matter. Like in general, it doesn't really matter, right? Gold standard was the other thing that we talked about.
Okay,
right?
First of all, I have to touch on Grimhex's pharmacy. Okay, because that part I did laugh at. Okay, so all the hospitals also have like pharmacies because again, like you have to have different medications and stuff when medical gameplay gets in. If anybody was paying attention when they go by the Grimhex pharmacy, it's just a bunch of like bricks of space drugs and space weed.
Yep.
That made me laugh.
I mean, it's there anyways, so whatever, you know, just
different sort of pharmacy.
I'm glad they're making Grimhex different, because I kind of feel like in an awkward way, Grimhex already, but later even more, it's gonna be like this. Like, I want to say Jewel of Stanton, but like it sounds wrong because it's quite the opposite, but like it's something different, right? Something that you might only see in Stanton or a couple of systems, like this crazy station that where, you know, fucking inside a rock and lawless and all the crazy stuff happens there.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
It was fun.
Gold standard, I don't know. Another disappointment for me. Like they talked about gold standard. We talked about gold standard as well. We actually asked for clarification.
We asked for clarification and we got it. So, you know.
Well, I'm glad they talked about it. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm glad now I know that gold standard means nothing.
It just basically means up to the current standard. Which is
why is it gold standard? Are we going to get platinum standard, diamond standard? I don't know. Like, because half of the game is missing, and this was why we were confused about Gold Standard in the first place. So they said cockpit buttons, metrics, lighting, and materials.
Damage meshes, optimizations.
And materials, and I'm like, how materials when we don't even have like these things in game? Maybe like visually, I don't know.
Oh, they're talking about like, they're talking about materials, not from like they're talking about mainly the art materials. That's at least that's how I interpreted it. Not actually like this is a chunk of aluminum hull plating. This is a chunk of carbon fiber hull plating. Like that probably. Like that's what they were talking about, but it's like the visual aspect of it, not the physicalized kind of
I think
armor and hull aspect of it.
John Cruz said as complete as you can get with the current features
for the current feature set. Yes.
And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. Like this seems like it should be something internal. Like this is just so confusing because if you hear a term golden standard and there's no other term similar to that, right, that we know of, right? Any other fucking standard that we don't have that, so it just feels like that this is a complete ship, and that's, I think 90+% of the people believe in this. Like, okay, so Gladius is done, ready, which it cannot be because it's missing very, very important parts, right? So it's not like it can be that. And then
I suppose it remains to be seen whether or not they design it with like that sort of future proofing in mind as well, right? So basically when they get, like, for example, we don't have modular engines yet on any of our ships. Like we can't swap out our engines for different engines like it's a component, where we know that is intended. So does Gladius being gold standard mean that like when that is available, it can do it?
They have to do a new pass on it then,
or will they have to do another gold standard
because
pass?
He goes into details, which
damage.
was interesting. I'm just against this golden standard unfinished
nomenclature.
Product. But the way crew explains it is kind of interesting because they went through Retaliator and they're like, we had to widen this and change this because you will not be able to take the component physically through the corridor or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And I see here that you asked if it's up to my
standard. Yeah, because you're familiar with it. I'm not.
I love Tally. Well, I don't like it anymore. Like I really like one of my favorite features in Retaliator. They removed it completely.
What was that?
The hatch on top and bottom.
Oh, see, I don't know. I'm kind of with them on that.
But that's like, not your favorite ship.
No, but it didn't really like.
It was great. That's like one of the best things. First of all, well, let me tell you. So first of all, you can throw poop out of it when you're flying by, right? So, but that's a joking thing. But then the other thing is, it was so convenient to get out of the ship quickly. It was almost like a drop ship. You can slowly fly by, and people can like jump out. Then we can drop, I don't know, bombs.
But
we
technically, couldn't you still just do that from the side door that they put on there?
No, it's not the same, man. Come on, like it's I would get out of the ship that way. Like I would land and just like boop, drop down and go.
But now it's like the same room. Yeah, so just jump out the side.
It's okay,
I don't know. I do that in the Cutlass all the time.
Well, yeah, but this is why Tally is better than Cutlass for getting out of the ship. I don't know, man. It's just like it's really good, and it makes it a fucking drop ship. It literally makes it a drop ship. It's like tuk tuk tuk. You can just line up and fall out of it. The bigger elevator and no elevators on both sides, I'm okay with that. I don't care. Like one elevator is enough.
Yeah.
And I don't like I'm happy to have symmetrical interior anyways, which it was before. And then he talked about the modules, and he did not mention modules that I care for. So I don't know if they gave up on it.
They showed the habitation module.
They showed it. Yeah, they showed the habitation.
It was clearly in, I think, gray box. Like it wasn't finished, but
he never said anything about it. So I don't know if he forgot, he didn't have notes ready, or if they are not doing it anymore. Because I don't know. Everything's so vague.
They're doing it for Squadron 42, so it makes sense that they're doing the which one did they say? They said the dropship module, and what was the other one he mentioned?
Cargo.
Was it cargo?
He said something like that's another thing. Like it seems like you will not be from listening to John Crow. It seems like forward and back, like aft and it's like they're different rooms almost. So he said like this for forward room, and then this for or module, and this for back module, and like. Nah,
I hope they don't do that, because like the idea was you could double up on them too, right? So if you wanted a double cargo module, you could have double cargo module in your Retaliator.
This is why I was confused, because he literally used that, like, telling us like this is
like,
forward module for that, and this is
I want a tally with a habitation module in the front and a like cargo module on the back, so that it can be my like daily driver,
sure,
like whatever ship, just because I want one.
But then if you think about it,
I like the way
that's
they
one
look.
of the things, like if you have 2 habitations, if you have like more people in it, and then you can fly over and they just like book, drop it, there's your dropship, man. Like, it's, I don't know. No, I really
how do you get in to the car? Like, because wait, does the Retaliator have a back ramp?
No, it doesn't.
So how do you get
but that cargo? That cargo will like
does
be
it drop down?
It's
okay.
For sure, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the torpedoes already, like, it has a
the
door.
bay doors,
exactly, and it goes down. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, it's one of my favorite ships, and it's so silly. It's, for me, Retaliator is a submarine. That's what it is, and in its torpedo form and everything, I think it's great, but I never wanted as a like see, I want a stealth everyday, like, how do they call it, like driver or whatever, and I want to be able to do different things with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to be stealthy in this game. Like, I want stealth to make sense, because right now it really, I mean, it works, but if you're unlawful, it doesn't matter, and that's when it matters. Like, if I'm lawful, I can just fly in, storm,
that's kind of what I was
fly out, right?
That's kind of what I was saying with respect to like the comm array thing, right? Like, right now, it doesn't matter if you're stealthy.
Nope.
If you're in comm array, like you're on somebody's scope, and that's something I don't think should be, like, long term. I hope that's not the case, right? Because otherwise,
there's something new. I don't know if you've seen this, but in the Captain Burke's video, that is basically his, like, chops from his streams or whatever, when they were doing Ninetales. In one of the situations, he like scans, and instead of seeing a whole ship, because it was too far away, he only saw an engine icon in the distance. It's like, there's a ship there, you have no fucking clue what it is.
Right, you just see the engines.
There's a ship there, yeah.
Well, specifically, you're getting somebody's drive signature.
Yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
It is cool.
Well, and again, like, I'm with you. Like, I would love for there to be stealth gameplay, but I think that stealth needs to extend to comm arrays as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like, if you go unstealthed, or if you're spotted by another ship that's connected to a comm array, sure, okay. Like, that information gets relayed to the comm array, and it shows up as, like, potentially an update. If you have, let's say, a bounty hunter chasing you or something like that, just as an example. If you're spotted by another ship that's communicating with that comm array, then like that should show up for the bounty hunter. Like,
exactly,
this ship is spotted
comm
here.
Array to have its purpose, but not like that's
exactly.
Like,
it shouldn't be the all-seeing eye.
Yeah.
If you're being stealthy, you should be like off scopes kind of a thing. Yeah.
Because if you're stealthy, you're less like, it's not like everyone can just go stealthy and because you lose a lot for making yourself stealthy. So right now you just lose a lot, and that's it, because someone has a fucking icon on top of your head. So it doesn't matter how stealthy you are. I agree. I also, like, if you're stealthy and you want to, like, maybe like slower jumps as well. Well, if you have a jump drive, it is slower, but like just entry makes it like stealthier or something. I don't know.
I think it should be more. It should be more than just like stealthing too, right? Like that's one of the things that we still don't really have, and that's like environmental aspects that impair sensors. You know what I mean? So like, if you're really trying to be stealthy and sneak up on somebody, you shouldn't just basically be able to. It shouldn't be simply just turning off components or cranking down component output to a point where your signatures are low. It should also be like You know,
down,
like you
maybe.
can't. Do you like fly through this gas cloud because that makes you harder to see, or like stick behind, so like hop from one asteroid, fly to another asteroid, like as you're like that should be all a part of stealth gameplay. We're totally tangenting again, but
I mean, it is the Retaliator gameplay, so but yeah.
Apparently, the Retaliator is still one of the stealthier ships.
It is.
Subliminal said they tested it, and if you disable a couple of your shield generators and stuff like that, like you can get really close to people without them even knowing you're there.
She's a stealth bomber, so it makes sense, man.
Yeah.
Stealth submarine. Okay. That's gonna do it for the news. Man, I was really afraid, and rightfully so, that when we had like our script, we were like, man, like I don't know how I feel about doing the episode at all. It's like, it's rough. I really hope that Sitcon gives us enough things to like talk about long term.
That I don't think you'll be disappointed. I haven't been up until this point anyways. Like every time there's a Citizen Con, like I said, I just like there's so much to dissect from all the different panels and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Citizen Con won't disappoint as far as stuff to talk about, and hopefully it just results again in like more of that more free-flowing kind of information. Again, historically that has been the case. After Citizen Con, you tend to have kind of like ISCs and stuff like that are a little bit more
hashtag Sitcon tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, the topic. We were mentioning this before. Then we decided to start doing it now, and we didn't know like how to break it. Then we're gonna go in 10 by 10, right? So it's
let's be honest, this is scraping the bottom of the barrel for content now. But here we go.
Honestly, I love this. Like, I know you might be like, I really, because this is stuff that I never went through this. Like, I have no fucking clue. As a matter of fact, for a long time, I did not even know there's stretch goals in Star Citizen, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of people who either don't know about them at all, or have no clue what they are, or it's not a big topic anymore at all. So for us newer backers, so to lead into it, when Star Citizen Kickstarter started, I think there were stretch goals, and there was a lot of them, and they were added later, like more and more and more. So whenever we don't have a crazy topic to talk about, we are going to have a portion of stretch goals, so like 10 stretch goals to read through and comment on them, basically. And we're going to start with that today. So that's going to be like 2.5 million up to 5.5 million, which will be 10 stretch goals. Do you have anything to add before we start diving into them, like as an all-time backer, and what the stretch goals meant to you, and were they disappointment or something good, or healthy, unhealthy, like in general?
No, I think like for the most part, like the stretch goals for me, who was like full on hype for Star Citizen after watching the video and stuff like that, were just more of kind of an amazement, because I didn't expect any of the stuff basically on this list. Well, no, definitely not that.
Okay.
But yeah, just to see it keep going and keep and like the funding keep coming in, and they ended up like basically like inventing stretch goals once they'd achieved their like their generic ones, or like the ones that they started with. So no, like the main thing for me was just watching the numbers go up, and almost just kind of like, whoa, like, oh, okay, it's definitely done now, and then to see it like keep going and keep going and keep going, was so that's the main impact that I remember.
I personally don't know how I feel about stretch goals in general. Like if
well, that's a Kickstarter thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's expected that you have those stretch goals, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And it says here, so stretch goals. If you go there, it's in development, and then stretch goals on the website. It's like open for everyone. Everyone can go and check this out, or you can just listen to us talk about it. But it says here, as a crowdfunded project, Star Citizen's scope is based directly on the support provided by our backers. Money pledge goes directly to the game's development. Stretch goals listed here are intended to reward early backers and to indicate how we are achieving Star Citizen's full version. Now, this part, as much as it makes sense, because it incentivizes people to pledge for Star Citizen before the game was even playable. Like, we have to think about it that way. Like, this was way before you could do anything right in game. So,
well, all we had was a video at this point.
Exactly. So we have to have that in mind as we go through these stretch goals. So the first stretch goal was 2.5 million US dollars. That's actually a lot of money, dude.
You know what's weird though?
2021.
No, I think they mixed these up actually. Yeah, because look at the dates are even mixed up.
Oh yeah.
So this
I know it says campaign start 28 22 2021. What the?
Yeah. So the first one was actually 2 million, and that's the second entry down. But it's supposed to be the first one. Even the date is the first one.
Okay, but then after that it's okay, right? Oh, it's not, dude. So we're gonna have to check these, like
3.25. No. Oh,
it's
wait,
not. It's not. It makes sense.
There's
3. Yeah,
what the
3
hell?
after. Yeah, it's crazy. Can we like rate them?
That's weird. Why is it like this?
Okay.
You can tell nobody's looked at this for a while. Okay, we'll just have to catch them as we're going this way. Okay, so yeah, the $2 million was the first thing, and even Star Citizen hitting $2 million on Kickstarter. Like, this wasn't even on their own website at this point. This was literally on their Kickstarter page. Was pretty crazy. Like,
okay.
Like, even then, it was one of the
Was
bigger...
that the first one though? Is there less than 2 million though?
No,
Did you check?
2 million was 2 million was what they asked for first. That was what they were.
That's so much money though for
it is.
For I guess the name Chris
but
Roberts.
Not for a game.
No.
You think about
it's not a lot of money to ask for a game to be developed. What I'm saying is, like, out of nowhere, Chris Roberts appears and says, "We need 2 million." It's like,
yeah.
What do you need? Excuse me.
Yeah.
And mind it, this was in 2012. So 2 million back then was much more than 2 million is right now, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, inflation hasn't been that bad.
11 years,
yeah.
though. No, 9 years. Yeah. Sorry, not 11 years, but it's still a long time. Anyways, so the first one that is accomplished. So we're gonna go through this. So it says accomplished 100% for 2 million, 25th 10th 2012 regular community updates. So it was 3 goals, right? Regular community updates. Citizens will with appropriate packages will get to play in the multiplayer dogfighting module, and citizens will with appropriate packages will receive access to the 30 mission Squadron 42 campaign upon release. So let's break this down. So that's the main focus right there, basically. First of all, how is this fucking accomplished? I mean, the crowd, the money is accomplished, but this has not been done though, by no means.
Regular
right?
community updates absolutely has. You get twice weekly updates. That's regular.
100%.
Obviously we had Arena Commander.
Yeah, Arena Commander is there, but did you play 30 missions Squadron 42? Oh, well, upon release.
Upon release, yeah.
Okay, so what the fuck does that mean?
So basically, if they hit this, basically, if you had the game already, you basically got Squadron 42 for free. Oh,
so is 30 mission just a number of missions like in Squadron, or?
Yeah, that's what they were intending for their single player. It was going to be 30 missions, and basically if they hit that 2 million, they would actually, that's kind of where they were like, okay, we're going to make the single player, and anybody who's pledged before this point will basically get Squadron 42 for free. because that's what it
Okay.
used to be actually. Like most, and then after that,
Was there a
if you-
minimum pledge back then?
Yes, I can't remember how much it was though.
Okay.
And that's where they said like appropriate packages. So basically, like I think it was $35 was the starter package, I think. So basically, you got Star Citizen and Squadron 42 for like 35
It actually
$40,
was
like
cheaper
that.
than now, right? So that's
It
not
was
bad.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of crazy. So they've hit that goal. I'm assuming the date on the left is when the money was achieved, right? Like when.
I think so, yeah.
So they got 2 million in funding, 25th 10th 2012, and then 6 days later, they hit 2.5 million. That's crazy, dude. Like back then, the new project and everything. So they hit 2 million, and then in 6 days they hit half a million more. That was that's insane.
I gotta tell you, man, like seeing Chris Roberts come back, like that was
a shock, a positive shock
this
for a lot
right
of people,
here,
right?
Yeah, totally. Like this is absolutely like a lot of boomers like me, or gamer boomers, however you want to call me, base dads, you know, basically going, oh my god, you know, because we all remembered those games, right? But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2.5 million again, like that was kind of like, okay, well, they're already pulling in huge money, which was crazy on Kickstarter. The only stretch goal here was they added the Anvil Gladiator,
which is in the game. So
it is in the game.
What were the ships back then? Like, could you pledge for the ship, or they just add...
Yes,
Wait,
there was
it says
the
flyable ship. How could you fly this ship though? You didn't have the Arena Commander yet, right? So
well, flyable as in like you will, like it's not just going to be in the game, you'll actually be able to fly it, kind of a thing.
So now we have all the ships are flyable anyways, right? So it doesn't really matter. But back then probably that was not the original idea at the beginning.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, like the capital ships and stuff like that were, you know, supposed to be flyable. But the next one I see at 3 million.
Let's just it's gonna be so confusing. I would say let's just go like regular way, like whatever they have it as, because it's gonna be crazy.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure they always go up in either 250 or, so I think 300 or 3 millions in it. I think we could probably jump around.
We need to keep the track for the next time we do this as well. But okay. But yeah, but then that's 2.5 million, and so where's 275?
I don't think 275 is there.
Okay, so 3 million.
It goes up to 3, yeah.
Just 15 days later? No, not even. Oh my god. That's like 10 days later. 3 million. Increased community updates at the RSI website.
Yeah.
I wonder how website used to look back then.
I don't remember them even having. I don't remember. Like, if you think they did have a website, but the funding and everything wasn't on it. I really don't remember. That's a long time ago.
Okay. And then Squadron 42 will feature 35 missions. Oh my god. So based on, well, it's not good now either. It looks fucking amazing, but it doesn't really work properly.
Yeah.
So
it didn't look good before. It looked like kind of a 90s website, if I remember correctly.
Well, I mean, I love how the website looks right now. I really love it. I just wish they made it like very, very accurate and just, you know, functional. Okay, so basically they were gating missions in a single player game based on how much people would pay for the project.
Well, yeah, I mean, and ultimately you kind of have to do that, right? Because initially what they were planning on doing with this funding was basically taking it and using it to show investors, because they were still imagining at this point that they were going to have a producer or like a publisher. So basically they were trying to crowdfund as much as they could to basically make them more attractive.
Missions equal money, time, sorry. So and time equals money, right? So it makes sense.
Exactly.
I was just like, I would just think that they had like a vision of how long it can be. That's crazy.
Well, they had a vision for sure, but you know, and they like these, like we're still into kind of the initial the initial kind of crowdfunding levels at this point, but once it crossed a certain threshold, it definitely, and Chris has even said, it got past, way further past where they ever thought they would get, course, right? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so
I mean, they make more money now yearly than back then at the beginning, so of course.
Yeah. So at this point, it was like, and that, I think at this point, Squadron 42 was mainly it, because you see,
of course,
the third stretch goal here in the $3 million mark was citizens with the appropriate packages will receive access to Star Citizen Universe with 40 star systems for persistent online play on release. So like before they got to the $3 million mark, they were still just thinking they were basically do a.
Well, actually, no, I don't know. We can.
Well, they were.
Because here's the thing, though, Maso. This was 8/11/2012, which is. That was like November. Less than a month before the first stretch goal. So. Yes, I don't think they came up with like the idea of the whole Star Citizen thing in like 10 days.
No. In fact, actually, if you go back and you watch his initial, that's not what I'm saying. If you go back and watch his initial video, he says he wants to build a universe, but basically, up until the $3 million mark, they were basically like, we
don't have enough for that, right?
We won't have enough for that, So at first it was like, if we hit $2 million plus, then they felt like they could raise the rest of the capital and build a single player kind of Wing Commander-esque game. And it was only if things were going really well and they're getting up there in the stretch goals that they were planning that they would actually be able to do because that's always the risk with Kickstarter, right? Like you put your money down.
No, I agree.
And it depends, like depending on how well you do, kind of like determines what the scope of your project can be, right?
Course, especially if you're Chris Roberts and you like have experience, and I mean you're surrounded by people who have experience, and where your limitations are roughly. Obviously, you can never be
roughly
100% right. However, this is I already like this. Like I already like this segment of our show because it tells me a lot about the things that I hear about, but I'm never sure. So what this means is. And I'm gonna be hated by a lot of people for saying this, but like Squadron 42 was never the only idea. So from the very fucking beginning, he wanted to have an MMO and a single player game. Well, a lot of people are saying that Squadron 42 was the only thing. That was the original Kickstarter, and then was it or was it not?
I mean, okay. Again, if you go back and watch his video, he says very specifically that he wanted a universe.
Yeah, which is an MMO,
again,
right?
Like all of that was contingent on funding,
how much money they make. But the idea was there. So if they have enough money, they're gonna make an MMO, right?
Yeah.
But from the beginning, it's not like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So these two games are connected from the beginning. It's not like
they have always been.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm glad I know that now because I get into fights for this all the time. It's kind of important for me to understand this from officially. I can now tell someone, go here, here's a link, and you can see that Star Citizen was there for the beginning. And I think both projects are important for each other.
Very early on.
Yeah. All right. So
next
the
one
next
is 3.25, and that was just simple. It's just adding the Misk Starfarer, which we got way later, actually. Way later.
Let's go back to this. So when the I wish I had like the original thing. Like, what were you pledging for? Because they added. So this is the second ship that they're adding. So they added Anvil Gladiator, and then a couple of millions later, they add Misk Starfarer. So what was the original game having without like any stretch goals?
Well, remember, like these are just Andromeda, they're basically saying that so there was the Andromeda, the Aurora, I think the Mustang was there, I can't remember. The 300 series was there.
Oh, okay. So there was like a pool of ships already.
Freelancer was there. I'm pretty sure the Cutlass was also
I know Gladius is not, because when I was like scrolling through this, I saw Gladius somewhere. But that's not the OG ship, which is kind of interesting.
the OG ship for Squadron 42 was going to be the Hornet, if I remember correctly, because that's what he was in the intro video, was the Hornet.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so there was a pool of ships, and then as the stretch goals are going, they were like getting more ships.
And again, specifically, these were so that these ships would be flyable. It's not like meaning that they would put the effort in to like build the interiors out and stuff like that, right? So it's not necessarily that these ships wouldn't have existed in the game. It's just that, you know, that's what these stretch goals were for, basically. Dude, being able to say, we can throw this money at making this ship actually something that you can fly as a player.
I wonder if you could dig like out, there's certainly a way, but like easy way to dig out what were the ships before the first concept, you know, like what were the known ships at the beginning, like this, like obviously Starfarer was there from the beginning, Gladiator, Connie,
pretty close, right?
in not flyable, but it was there, right? That's what you're saying, right? Like, so I want to know like all the ships that he had the idea for, or the team, whatever, and then when they start like adding, we'll find that.
I bet you can. I bet you it's findable. I bet you.
Dude, I actually already am enjoying about digging through the past. It's like kind of interesting.
This is way back, yeah. So next one was 3.5 million, and that was cockpit decorations, and we still don't have these.
Oh shit! But it says accomplished.
Well, yeah. Like, you know.
Turn your let's read this. Wait. Cockpit decorations. Turn your stock cockpit into your home with personalized decorations. Amaze your friends with bobbleheads, photographs, dinosaurs, fuzzy dice, nose art, posters, and many more cool options. This is literally what Elite Dangerous has.
Is it?
Oh yeah. And then like all of these things. I wonder if
well, we know they're working on them because there was that bobblehead SCL episode way back that I hated.
You know what I wonder? Like they're saying amaze your friends with stuff, and I wonder the cockpit, if at this point ships were supposed to be like in ED, just a cockpit.
I don't think so. I think the idea was always that you'd be able to walk through the ships. Because
because the next one says shipboard. So it wasn't, dude. It wasn't. Look, the next stretch goal is shipboard. I mean, the same stretch goal. The next task is shipboarding. Learn more about how Star Citizen will allow players to conduct boarding operations.
Yeah. See, but that's the thing. Like, even without that, I'm pretty sure that ship interiors were still supposed to be a thing. Because that's the thing. Like,
you can't change the interior, but only your cockpit.
You can't. Wait, what?
Well, I'm reading into these cockpit decorations, and I'm like, why cockpit decorations? Like, it's a little bit strange. Why not anything? Why not your ship interior?
I'm not really sure. But
and how do you amaze your friends with cockpit decorations? You know what I mean?
Well,
I guess
that one you're gonna have to answer yourself. I don't have any friends who
is just like thinking about it, but like because it's kind of funny because this is literally how Elite Dangerous works. Like if you want to play co-op, someone has to join your session, and then he's gonna be another seat in your ship if your ship has that option. So therefore, you can see animations in the or like these little like decorations, right?
We'll have to check with some of the other like Star Citizen old timers, because as far as I remember, the whole like interior of your ship was always kind of supposed to be a thing. And the reason I say that is because like I remember one of the first ships that I was just blown away about was the Andromeda, and that's because you got to see inside of it.
I saw the old Andromeda interior. Holy shit, that looks so different.
Yeah.
The form is still there, but you see that toilet and all that, I'm like, oh my god, that's gross. Compared to what we have today, it's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely. But that's one of the things I remember that really wowed me. And then I could be messing things up, and that could have been something that was added later. But the the Freelancer, the Cutlass, and the dude, have you seen the old Cutlass interior? Whoa!
I think I did. Yeah. I think it's some stream like we were going through all the old stuff, and it was some time ago.
It was, but that from what I remember, that was always going to be a thing. The boarding thing, though, meaning that like you could actually like get into somebody's ship in flight, kind of a thing, was.
By the way, little tangent.
Yeah, I think that's what this was. But
apparently, breaking into other people's ships in current PU was disabled, and they, when you can like shoot your gun into a door and it opens.
Right, and it would open. Yeah,
it's back. And Burke stole was good. They were like going to clean their crime set after the thing, and then there was a Carrack parking there, and then he stole it and made it to a cockpit and like waited for them to come like one by one like lemmings and like. I mean, awesome. That's fun, man. Like that's something I would go back for. Like I would go back to like steal other people's ships, but I would be afraid that I get banned for it because it happened already. Okay.
Well, if Burks is doing it publicly,
whatever. I'm ban Burks. I'm not. I'm not Burks.
No, I don't think they will.
Okay.
Unless it was like excessive harassment, like they said.
Well, what
but
if
anyway.
that's I'm collecting other people's ships? What?
Yeah. So just don't do the same guy more than once. I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
it's part of the game. And if they added it back in, how you can shoot open, if you can shoot open doors now, that it's intended gameplay. So
exactly.
Anyways, that's a whole other thing.
Okay. So that was 3.5 million.
3.75 is next.
Star Citizen will feature an additional flyable ship, the Aegis Dynamics Retaliator.
There you go. Your favorite ship is Ancient.
One of my favorite ships. 10 is my favorite ship for sure.
Right, okay.
But Tali's up there. Holy shit. That was 15th November of 2012. 3,750,000. Dude, that's fucking... It is ancient. I mean, in game it's ancient as well, right? But like in lore. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Look at that jump though too. It's literally like a day, and it was 250 grand that
they probably had like that in, like they just like had to make it a day later.
I don't know. I do remember like popping in to see like, oh, where is the stretch goals at today?
Yeah, maybe it happened at the same time. What I'm saying is they just had to like gate the stretch goal a day later.
Maybe, you know, but what I mean? Don't know. Like, see, this is the thing. Like right now, $250,000 for like Star Citizen is nothing, right? Like
it's a lot of money. Holy shit! Back then, especially, yeah.
Back then, like going up $250,000 in a day on a Kickstarter platform was huge. Like no other projects were doing that, right?
Okay, here's a question though. Like when they had this, so the next stretch goal is 3.75 million, and it will be the Aegis Dynamics Retaliator. Did you guys get to see the picture of the ship or something like that? Like, was there like visual representation of what you're getting with the?
I don't remember. No.
Because I wish I was part of all this. It's like kind of interesting to follow. I would probably just like chip in with like the entry, and then I would just like look at these things like, oh shit, let's go, boys. Ali.
I wonder if it's possible to find. Oh yeah, no, it's still there on their Kickstarter site.
Are all the stretch goals there as well?
Hold on, I'm looking. Updates. Okay, so it was last updated on 2013 campaign. Okay, yeah, so the minimum pledge was $5, but you didn't really get anything for it. Oh yeah, the stretch goals are here, but it doesn't say
$5. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So
is it the same like this, but like in line?
Sort of. Not really. It seems
like everything's okay now. No, it's fine. It's fine. We got to a point where everything goes properly.
Yeah. So $37 was where you got the game.
37. It's not Aurora. A big difference, really.
Access to the alpha and beta.
That might as well be the inflation, actually, when you think about it. 37 to 45. Yeah. Maybe not. That's a lot, like percentage-wise, but
yeah. And you got like you got everything before that too, right? So because that's the way the Kickstarter works, I think.
Oh yeah.
So you got like like you get a bunch of like swag and stuff, basically, like
Flair and yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is 4 million. Ooh, that was a big one. And some of these have chairman's letter, which is kind of cool, but these are long. We're not gonna go over that right now. So
yeah, back when we heard from Chris like very regularly.
So 4 million. That's I guess that's like huge number that enabled them to do so many things. You know, at the beginning. So it says a new star system will be added to the game for every 100,000 pledged, with description posted to the comlink. So what is comlink now? Is that the current website?
Yeah, the comlink is it's right there. It's like one of the things, right?
Okay, so 3.1 million Odin, 3.2 million Iroll, 3.3 million Kellogg, 3.4 million Goss, 3.5 Orion, 6 Ellis, 3.7 Cathcart, 3.8 Tall, 3.9 Geddon, 4 million Kronos. So these are systems that you actually hear a lot about when like Paul is talking or whatever. Like these are some of the favorite systems, and now it makes sense because some people, I'm assuming when this list came out, you know, then people were like, "Oh, you know, that was all there is, right?" So you would get fed information about what these systems should be and whatnot. Because now we have so many systems, you have a little bit of information, but I would assume it would like be more detailed about these first systems.
I don't think there really was. Not at the point where the stretch goal was hit.
But
because like I said,
probably like in the future.
Right.
They would focus on these first. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I don't even think there was a star map at first.
Yeah, you probably just jump through.
I know the new star. Like it definitely wasn't the new star map. That's actually relatively new. But yeah.
Okay, so then this is the same. So this is all 4 million. So the RSI website will feature a monthly Wingman's Hangar webcast from the development team. What the fuck is this?
Well,
like a YouTube series or something?
Yeah, you can go. It's still on their channel, I think. It's just like rural.
What was the format?
Really rough.
Oh, it's just like seeing them talk about something, right?
It's honestly, I wasn't paying much attention to the Wingman's Hangar thing when that happened. That was kind of before I got super stoked when I saw this come out, and then I
it just did not deliver, I guess.
Well, it's just like you just forget about it, right? Because none of this happened immediately, right? So it's all these stretch goals are hit, and then they kind of had to go and actually make some of it, right? So like Wingman's Hangar, I don't remember really watching that much of. Like I remember like I was kind of more like paying attention around. Was it kind of like
ISC, or was it like just some random?
No, it's basically like SCL, but much lower production value.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, same. There's still more to go in 4 million stretch goal. Professional mod tools will be provided to free to all players. What is this?
The ability to mod it. So like, because remember like Freelancer, that's what the game Freelancer was like. That's where it really shone, was that it was moddable, right? So you had people who were creating mods and stuff like that. It was super popular though, especially back in that era.
So is Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind, but I maybe that's why I don't like these games, because I don't mod them at all. I don't want to mod them. I want to play them the way they were. It's like reading a book, but like adding little notes to it. I don't know. It's like you can mod any book you read. You can add pages if you want.
That's the whole thing about modding, right? Is you don't have to mod it. So
here's the thing. If this is a single player, because it doesn't say. It says professional mod tools will be provided for free to all players. Like, is this for Squadron or for Star Citizen? Because
for Star Citizen.
Well,
because
it doesn't say.
Well, here's the thing. Well, again, like there was a passionate modding community, and there still are, I'm sure. I'm not really big into mods and stuff like that either, but I remember this was a big deal for a lot of people.
Okay.
But here's the thing, and this is something I know I'm not alone in here. I don't think that is something that will end up really panning out in Star Citizen.
I hope not.
Because at the time, like there was no planets. Like, it was supposed to basically just be like updated freelancer as far as the online play goes, right? So
Okay.
so like that's easy. Like I played on private freelancer servers a lot, and I played on modded freelancer servers a lot, and it's possible because the game itself was lightweight enough that basically anybody could fire up a server and run the game universe, and have people join it and play. But the current version of, like, how would you do that with Star Citizen? There's so much back-end tech in the Star Citizen PU now.
You could have mods like World of Warcraft. Like, what is modding though? Like, you
but how
have
are you
mods
gonna run that server? You don't have AWS.
Well, here's the thing. Like, what is modding? That's the thing, because you have modding in World of Warcraft, you have modding in Guild Wars 2, you have modding in World of Warships. What is modding? You know what I mean? Is it like add-ons? It's like, I don't know.
The way that this was, the way that I understood this, and I think a lot of people understood this as well, was basically that people would be able to run their private Star Citizen persistent universes modded. So like, if somebody
like a
wanted
private
to turn
server, basically.
Exactly, yeah. Like, that's the way I interpreted it. But
I don't know. I wasn't there for that time, but like that. I don't like any of that in an MMO. I think it has no place in an MMO. But whatever. Like, I mean, and this is one of those things. Like, even if it does not affect me, that would almost certainly be one of those things where I'm like, okay, it's not a game for me. It is what it is.
Really?
And again, even if.
But if people are just running private servers and
I don't care. Like, that just breaks the whole immersion in, like, my personal immersion. Is this world we play in? And then someone's playing that same world in like their own like whatever setting. I just immediately shatters in my head. Like,
interesting.
Nothing matters anymore to me.
Well, it doesn't bother me at all. But
that's great. I hope it does not bother a lot of people because
the amount of people who actually would realistically, again, I mean, especially now, would be able to actually like play this would be small enough to a point where it like probably wouldn't even affect overall player service, like player levels in the actual public game. But that, like I said, I can't see how anybody would do that. Like, I don't think how that, I don't, just with where they're going with server meshing and the reliance on cloud tech and the AWS servers and stuff like that. Like, how do you
because there's always going to be like server side and client side shit. So you could maybe mod your client side stuff. Like, in World of Warcraft, you can play as a anime girl, like even though you're a gnome. And if you stream it, that's like bannable offense and you're done. But like, you can still do it, right?
Well, or there's just like, like there's with WoW, there's so many like
change
actual
UI,
mods that you can run. Yeah, change UIs and stuff like that.
So that you can do in Star Citizen as well. Like
I
these
guess,
things,
but I don't think they do
really
that,
care,
to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of a security like nightmare.
And if you want real, like, here's the thing, like, you can have mods that only affect your side without API, right? Like, if you allow people to play with API, then yeah, and that's also security thing and whatnot. I don't know. Like, I don't think we have enough knowledge to like dive deeper into this. But I am a huge fan of games that do not support any mods, single and especially multiplayer games. And I am a minority in that.
I'm only in favor of that if we're talking. Because, well, I'll just rewind. I'll put this in perspective. So, for example, in WoW, you could have like DPS meters and stuff like that would just like help you improve your gameplay because you can see what works better and stuff like that. Star Wars: The Old Republic did not allow that, and I found that really frustrating because I basically, in order to be able to gauge whether or not this particular gear or this particular rotation is working better than the other, I have to like export a CSV and put my combat log through like a third party thing to be able to like clock my DPS instead of just having a lightweight mod running in the corner. So I'm okay with games not supporting mods
as long as they
the game
tools,
itself, right? Exactly. If the game itself kind of like, is
how important that is. Like, I'm with you. I want that, but by the studio, and they can keep adding things like this, quality of life, basically. What happened with World of Warcraft also, we cannot forget this. Like in Final Fantasy, if you share a damage meter and someone reports you, you get banned for life. And I support this.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before because there's like this elitism that kind of can
people
rise.
Don't use it like you and me do. Like I always have damage meter for myself to improve myself, but most of the people are showing their penis like with it.
Yeah.
So
or they're showing how much somebody sucks.
Well, but that's the same thing, right? Just the other way around. So and it's not only damage meter. Like first of all, there was damage meter. Then there was someone made a fucking gear score, and then if you didn't have enough gear score, you couldn't do any content. And then Blizzard implemented both of these things into the game. Then someone made Raider.io, where now if you go into one mythic dungeon and you screw up, no one's gonna take you in a group anymore because your Raid.io is like low or whatever. And this makes such an elitist gameplay that I hope Star Citizen will not have. On the other hand, some games are too protective. Like Guild Wars, for example. And I love
Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah, I kind of love these games, but they will never be competitive. So it's like in the same way, you know what I mean? Like because it's so hard to improve yourself because you don't know what the fuck's going on. So in my opinion, I want the game to give me tools to be able to improve myself, but like don't go like too far. Like
that's kind of like
this will hurt. But Elder Scrolls Online kind of does this where you can only see your own DPS. Like even the mods that you install, like you can only see your own DPS, right?
You know what? Honestly, like I'm fine with that for the most part. Like, okay, I still liked how the DPS
compare.
meters. Like
you can ask
get
someone, hey, how much do you have? Oh shit, that's so much more than me, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, but like and ultimately, like it can, like, frankly, there's situations in those games where like if you are failing because you are not dealing enough damage, like you have to know who needs to either step it up or be replaced
or be helped, right? Like if you have two hunters and one is pumping and the other one is not, you can help him because if it's a friendly environment, then who cares? Like it's just good. But 9 out of 10 times it's not friendly though.
Like what would you even have like as far as mods for Star Citizen though? Like
damage for sure.
Because like why? What? How
now
would you track
it's why? Because I don't know. Oh come on. There's DPS in Eve. There's DPS in Elite. Come on. We just don't have the system that where like damage matters.
Eve makes sense because it's like like it's but in a game like do you have DPS meters in?
I hope we're gonna have some
like FPS
content as well. We talked about this,
me too.
right? Like we hop into
But like for example, like Borderlands 3, is there a damage meter for that game? I don't know. Or like, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, oh my god, I can't. Destiny, like in Destiny 2, is there a damage meter?
Yes.
Does it make sense to have a damage meter?
Yeah. Like at the end, there's like damage done, targets disabled, targets killed, whatever. Like there's a whole breakdown. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
why?
I guess
I mean, why? I mean, what's the?
Well, no, I'm just thinking like it's not like WoW or whatever where you have like a damage rotation, right? Like it's like you're either hitting or you're missing, kind of a thing, right? Like.
Well, you have builds. What do you mean? Like you can have different weapons, and if someone comes to a combat and they bring only guns that in that mission, go through armor or whatever, or shields. They're useless, and someone could be there who can actually do something or whatnot. I don't know. I mean, this is like so. This is.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking like, does it matter as much in a situation where it's open world because like there's essentially no group size limit. It's not like it's a raid.
We don't know
where,
that. We don't know that. I think we're gonna have something like that.
Sorry, bud. I guess you'll have to leave the instance so we can.
I think we're gonna have something like that. I know. I think that's gonna be the end game for like big ships and fleets. Like you're gonna have like limited number because of what happened to you today or last week with like instead of, I think there's going to be instant content in Star Citizen. I believe there's going to be, because even New World has it, like you need some kind of
I don't get me wrong, like efficiency in a team is definitely something that is going to be important in Star Citizen. I'm struggling to find situations where that wouldn't be something that was kind of oh god, cat. Okay. What was I saying? Right, where it's kind of more performance based than necessarily like, how much damage is your build doing, kind of thing. Like, for example, here's an example where your player base would be limited in capital ships, for example. Like, you only have so many spaces for players on a capital ship, right? And if one of your if your engineer isn't good enough at being an engineer, then yes, you might need somebody to come in and replace them.
How in World of Warcraft you have like healing done, people who cleanse? What do you mean? How I don't know how many things they fixed throughout the encounter or whatever.
I guess that's it, right? Like I don't see how that'll work.
Community
but it's mainly because
will come up with a way of saying Maso is better engineer than Chegg. It's just like how every MMO works, man. Like, there's gonna be a way to say it, right? There's always going to. Otherwise, I mean, there's gonna be a way for that, 100%.
Just because I guess the main thing is that like they've specifically said that they're trying to steer away from that kind of numbers based gameplay.
But there's gonna be something else. Maybe not numbers. Maybe something else.
Yeah. Well, that's all I'm saying here. I'm just like brainstorming, like what mods would there be, or would players kind of feel like would be necessary. Like I could see like advanced trader apps, for example, like something like a like a
the
specific
economy and whatnot.
Exactly, something that just like every time you touch down at a station, it like pulls the trader data from it or something like that. I don't know.
Like even UEC made per hour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With the thing, we're gonna go back to like, we don't know, because Star Citizen still officially does not know what kind of a game they're gonna be.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
at any rate, the mod tools.
I don't like that.
I just don't think it'll happen personally. Like I think the game has changed way too much.
I wish there was a comment from Dan on this. Like, they should go back and like add little like side notes to these. Like, this is what we feel about, like, this was long, and I don't think like it's been long ago. You know what I mean? Like, things change. It's just a factual thing.
Well, and like I said, I mean, things change, but specifically this game has changed so much. Like, do mod tools even make sense anymore? I don't think they do, but
I hope
we'll see.
The same. So still 4 million stretch goals. Squadron 42 will feature a richer storyline and 45 total missions. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were wrong.
Oh, there's the Cutlass. Yeah.
4 million was actually Star Citizen will launch with 50 star systems and feature an additional flagship ship, the Drake Interplanetary Cutlass. It's not even Cutlass Black, it's just Cutlass. I like how they call it Drake Interplanetary Cutlass. Like, that's not how they call them anymore. It's like Drake Cutlass Black or whatever. Time. That's all.
Because at this point they weren't really in on the like variants so much. Like at this point in the game, if I'm not mistaken, like the whole point was still that the ships would be kind of modular and you just kind of change them depending on what you want them to do. I could be wrong, and I could be thinking of a stretch goal that's further ahead, but that's what I remember anyways.
That 4 million was actually the biggest so far, right? It's like a groundbreaking thing.
Yeah.
Then we go to 4.5 mil.
And I've just checked, and I think that is that is the next one in line.
So Star Citizen will launch with 60 stars. They were throwing these systems like easy, You get 500,000, 10 more systems, easy. What? Well, okay. Well, so it was not like you're gonna land on planets then, right?
No, exactly. There was no planet.
Dude, that's such a big difference, right?
totally. Like they're, like again, this was just going to be freelancer basically,
I'm
where it's
telling
like
you,
you get a system.
Like they're so pissed at these like promises back then. Like it's like 60 stars. It's not 60 planets. It's 60 star systems.
Yeah.
At 4.5 mil. And now if you think about like that's probably like 600 planets and moons to land on. It's like what the fuck, dude. And so the 4.5 mil is again a big one. So Star Citizen will feature an additional playable ship class.
So this is where they start thinking about like capital ships.
Well, we still don't know what the fuck this is, right?
Yeah.
So Star Citizen will feature an additional playable ship class, the cruiser. What is a cruiser, bro?
We don't know. And because ultimately, like the Idris, for example, was initially supposed to be a Corvette.
Okay.
Like it was supposed to be small, So like even the capital ship lineup as it was in the early days has changed a lot. Like it was supposed to be a Corvette and now it's moved up to a frigate. So
well, okay.
Yeah. Like,
that's interesting.
We still haven't seen the cruiser.
So then it says, I have to figure this out, but like it says all Kickstarter goals unlocked, and then under that it says all backers before the October 29, 2012 will start Star Citizen with the class repair bot in their garage. What the fuck is this?
This is something that some of the OG backers still go out. Where's my repair bot? Where's my repair bot?
I don't think there's gonna be a mechanic like anymore, or I don't know. Or maybe it's gonna be something like that you're gonna be able to use like with charges or something, right? No.
It'll be like because that's what the not the Crucible, the what's the smaller ship? Vulcan. The Vulcan has repair drones, but that's what it'll be.
Those are drones, but it's repair bot.
I think that's what it'll end up being. It'll be like a drone. It'll be a repair drone.
I mean, it's okay if you have something like that and it takes like a day to repair your fucking ship, and you have to feed it materials or whatever. Or I mean, it doesn't have to be a day, but
I think it'll just end up be a drone.
Slower than if you take it into an actual.
Yeah, I think it'll just be a drone.
All backers before November 8, 2012 will start Star Citizen with 500 additional credits. This sounds so silly. I guess the credits come from their economy from like Freelancer or Starlancer or something like that.
Way back. I don't know, but I think you were only supposed to start with like 1,000. If I remember correctly, that's what...
I mean, listen, that's like 50% more. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you start with 1,000.
Yeah, and they called them Galactic Credits. I'm looking at the Kickstarter page right now. So yeah, your $37 pledge. You started with an RSI Aurora and 1,000 Galactic Credits.
I like that more than UEC, to be honest, but okay. The next one says extended hardcore flight sim controller support, flight chairs, multiple monitors, track IR, MFD, and more on launch. What? What?
Well, we kind of have that.
We have that. So that was not a plan, dude.
Track IR, MFDs, we have Game Glass. So those would be like the chairs that like actually like move around when you
you think it's not like a chair in oh no, this is sim controller support. Okay.
Yeah. So support for people
we
who
don't have multiple monitor support though. That'd be cool,
I guess you can.
There's a game. So Grid, I hate the gameplay because it's super arcade, but I can drive on my main monitor, and then on the right monitor, like I can have map of the track.
Oh, cool.
And like numbers and fuel and everything. Like it's so fucking. No other game does that.
Yeah, we do have the MFD thing though. That's Game Glass.
We have MFD. Well, that's not theirs though.
No, but that's what they said. Like controller flight sim controller support.
Sure.
So they just basically support.
Okay, that's like API
Game Glass,
basically. I think part of it, whatever. Okay, it's my.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Starts in the future, 4 additional. No. What is there?
That's it. Yeah, it's the sorry, the thing I was saying. Oh, it's there. It's the Idris class Corvette. They call it in that line. Yeah. So Star Citizen will feature 4 additional playable ship classes: the Idris class Corvette, the Origin M50, the Drake Interplanetary Caterpillar, and destroyers. And
it's nice how they like just go cruisers, destroyers, you know, like what the fuck, dude?
Well, I think at this point, like they you know, like
Caterpillar, no clue, man.
Yeah, they like capital ships are just something that were like, I guess we can do capital ships now.
This is kind of cute in a way. I don't even know like how else to call it. It's like it's a clueless CIG giving promises based on like just an idea, right? This just proves you how it's impossible to, like, 9 years later, it's impossible to have every one of these stretch goals one to one, right? Like you can make something that resembles,
and some of them just don't make sense anymore. Like even this, like Star Citizen, the next one down is Star Citizen will feature 2 additional base types: Vanduul trading posts and a hidden smuggler asteroids. So like this was, I guess, going off of the like how you used to have the different kinds of hangars and stuff. Hey, like there used to be with some of the old packages. Yeah. So like because you were always supposed to have a personal hangar, right? Like that's where the hangar module came in.
Would that be a?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
I think this is like a living module probably or something like that. You know.
I figured this was like
could be a thing, right?
Because the hidden smuggler asteroids, you got that. Like there's a type of hangar that
it comes with the pirate ship.
Yeah,
but that's not I mean, it's a smuggler,
but base types at this point I don't think they were talking about I don't think they were talking about having like bases.
I don't know what the fuck this is. This is what I'm saying, like they should have like little notes with this now. It'd be so cool if they go back with this. CAG, even though you're not listening, when you end up listening some of our shit, make notes to these, because when people go back like me, they're so confused. It's crazy.
I don't know, man. I could see them maybe just avoiding this like the plague, right? Because like you said, there's so much salt from some older backers.
You can only run as far, you know, like it's gonna catch up with them.
Yeah, but it hasn't, because like you said, who even knows about these stretch goals these days? The only people who know about them and are kind of upset about them are like
them back. The salt.
Old school backers, right? So like I could see Star Citizen or CIG just basically wanting to keep these, just don't even open this whole can of worms.
They would remove it from the web page if they wanted that, right? They can't.
Well, I don't think they can. Like there's a difference between removing something and just not talking about it. You know? So like I agree. I would love for them to go back to this and say, oh well, this has changed because we're not doing this anymore, you know. Like the Vanduul trading posts, like the lore has changed to a point where the Vanduul don't talk to anybody except for occasionally the Banu. So like the Vanduul trading post thing.
Teamed. It doesn't, you know, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We have no clue what this is though.
No.
But it can be themed, you know what I mean? Like because you know they abandoned it, whatever, and you can like, I don't know.
That would be cool.
The next one, Star Citizen, will feature an additional alien race, Kurtak. And what were the races before this? Do we know? Human.
Human and Vanduul. I mean, probably. I don't think that there was any. I don't think that there was any other aliens at that point.
Okay, so
I don't know.
So that was the 4.5 mil, right?
Yeah.
And then 5 mil, I would expect this to be huge, right? So 5 million enhanced boarding options, melee combat, heavy weapons, zero gravity simulation, suit HUD options, and EVA combat.
Okay, we have pretty much all of that.
Melee combat we have, but it's like shit, but it exists. Heavy weapons? Heavy weapons, I guess. We have heavy weapons.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's like classification in like weapons in FPS, but sure.
Not really.
Zero gravity obviously, sim, that definitely exists.
Yeah, and they're updating that with EVA 2.0.
Suit HUD does not really exist though. I mean,
no, suit HUD options, that's something I could see down the road.
Maybe.
Like I could see that one coming if they end up like giving us like the ability to customize our own ship HUDs and stuff like that.
Well, you can have like suit HUDs based on manufacturer. Like suits are also made by different manufacturers. Okay, so the next one, increased ship customization. That's so vague.
It is, yeah.
But weapons, shields. Maybe we have this already, or
we
is
already
it like
knew
interior
that was,
or whatever?
No, I actually, that if you look at their actual original Kickstarter page, like that was actually part of their original pitch. So the ships were already supposed to be customizable to an extent. But increased, so more, I guess, than they originally anticipated.
The next one is hilarious though. Tablet companion application to check on your inventory. It's not a phone companion application, it's a tablet companion to check on your inventory, commission or find missions, and get galactic news feed. We don't have this.
No,
I kind of fucking want this.
This is kind of what they envisioned Spectrum to end up becoming. Not necessarily the inventory, like check your inventory and stuff for finding missions, but like the Spectrum that we have right now, that is basically just a salty forum where you get banned for saying anything critical. It's supposed to be something where it's like it's actually the communication system in the game, you know. So like
they did connect that. Like now I go in game and I see people logged in. So do you know that there's no official Android or Apple application at all for Star Citizen? There's like Spectrum, but it's third party implementation.
There's the two-factor authentication key. Does that count?
That's it. No. Like there's Spectrum application, but someone else made it. It's just like connects you to Spectrum or whatever. It's like using browser or whatever. That's very disappointing though, I gotta say.
I don't know. I could see that one coming later. It's just like if you're looking at like the whole priority of everything that needs to get done right now.
Man, this is 9 years after the fucking making the
but the game's still not there, right? Like what?
Who cares? It's not like people who work on the game are working on the
check our inventory. We're just getting inventory now.
No, we don't. No, we have inventory. I can look through my components, my ships, my armor, my weapons. This is account inventory. You know what I mean? Like, no, I could use an app like this. Why not?
Commission and find missions. I mean, that's basically your Mobiglass.
Mobiglass, yeah, you could have your Mobiglass. That's what it is. Like if you had like Mobiglass on your phone.
Oh, Mobiglass app. Oh, that'd actually be kind of cool.
That'd be fucking cool because then you can just play the game and accept missions on your phone. That would be fucking amazing. Except for you wouldn't be able to do it on the phone. You would have to have a tablet. Okay.
Actually, that's kind of a neat idea. Actually, if you were able to just offload your Mobiglass to like your phone or something instead.
Yeah, optional, obviously. Not everyone wants to do that, but yeah. So it's like a World of Warcraft companion app. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they were like playing off.
Yeah.
Because at this point, World of Warcraft already has companion apps. So this is 2012. World of Warcraft is 8 years in already, so they have it, you know, so probably that's what it is.
Yeah.
Then the next one, the RSI webcast will feature a monthly town hall Q&A with Chris Roberts. Holy shit. Every month with Chris Roberts?
Well, we did, yeah. We used to get that.
For how long?
They were called 10 for the Chairman. And I remember we were still watching those with 10 for the Chairman. When did those start petering off? Like 2016, 2017? Something like that.
Or better, for sure.
Yeah, well, ultimately, like if you go back and watch some of them, they were fun, but it pretty much was like, hey, Chris, can we do this? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Chris, what about this?
I know about that.
Yeah, definitely. It's like
so people could like ask questions. So it's like Star Citizen Live,
but with Chris Roberts.
Ask questions. He would answer.
Literally, yeah.
Where was this hosted though? On YouTube or what? Like how were people asking questions? YouTube.
Well, it was like pre-collected questions,
like AMA.
Yeah. They were like submitted. I can't remember if they were done. They were done through the forums, I think. I don't remember.
Spectrum or forums, doesn't matter.
Something like that. Spectrum didn't exist
live,
back then.
Right? It was just like okay, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was
except for-
live. It was like he was like handed like a sheet basically that had
See,
like
but
10
that's how
questions on it.
fucked up stretch goals are. Like people, theoretically, people paid 5 million, and someone could have said, "I added to this stretch goal because I wanted monthly report from Chris Roberts," and then they're like, "Okay, we're not going to do this anymore," and someone can like go back and like, "Meh, I want this. I paid for this." You know what I mean? It's kind of rough with these stretch goals. Like, how do you end this when you promised it as a stretch goal? It's crazy. And
don't
it's
know.
like
I mean-
enough for someone to say that it's a scam. Look at this stretch goal, and they're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like, this is just one of
Yeah.
the things. Like, there's a lot more. Okay, so next one is huge, and this is kind of mind blowing
yeah.
to me because it's
Yeah.
only 5 million stretch goal. Now 5 million is a lot of money, but not for this. Squadron 42 will feature celebrity voice acting, including at least one favorite from Wing Commander and 50 total missions. Now this is fucking crazy. That's expensive shit.
That's Mark Hamill, the one favorite from Wing Commander.
I wouldn't be surprised if he
Guaranteed.
actually got more this stretch goal. Depending on
I
how
don't know.
much he was,
Maybe.
well, if not him,
But he-
then him and
apparently-
Gillian Anderson together.
Apparently him and CR have like a rapport, and like, yeah, apparently Mark Hamill legitimately just liked working with
Oh, maybe he would do it
with
just,
CR,
but then
so-
they used him to make. I don't know. Maybe he was okay with that. I don't think
Plus,
Gillian was working for free.
2000. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Oh,
who they were even planning, but like I know that.
I just
that,
want to say,
uh,
I if there's one reason I would play Squadron, that would be Gillian Anderson. I don't know, man. I just
True child of the 90s.
fucking X-Files, dude. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know.
Everybody, every male
We
of that
talked
era.
about this.
Yeah. Loved
I just
Gillian
loved
Anderson.
her acting and everything. Even in the X-Files movie, I loved both of them. Her and Mulder, whatever. I don't even know what's his name.
I don't remember,
David
but apparently he's
Duchovny.
a real
David
prick.
Duchovny.
Yeah, Duchovny,
And now lately I watched Sex Education, and dude, she's so much
Yeah,
older.
she's so
I'm
good.
not into this like older chicks or whatever. She was never like a sexual thing for me. It's more like
Oh, she
I
was
just-
for a lot.
I just
but for a lot
felt
of people.
really good watching, especially two of them together. But then I watched Sex Education, where she's literally MILF, like that's what she plays there, and she's such a good actress, dude. Like
She's amazing. Yeah.
she's such
yeah.
a good actress. Like it's crazy. I don't know. I really like Gillian Anderson as an actress, and I think her model in game is so accurate and good. Like you I don't know. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. You see her in that trailer, and you're just like, I know you.
Dana!
But that's us, though.
No,
like, it's
Dana,
funny. It's
Dana.
funny how many people I'm like, oh yeah, and Gillian Anderson in it, and they're just like, who?
so this is kind of strange because I don't care about the single player games. I don't care about Squadron, and see, like some of these things just work on you. Like I kind of wanna, but I can just watch playthrough on YouTube, whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of cool. I do think it's a
Yeah.
waste of money, though. She does not work for free. There's no fucking
I can't-
way.
Yeah, I don't think it's a waste of money. I don't know. I think that's
Maybe it's a
especially
good investment, I guess. Yeah,
I think
because
so,
she will
yeah.
bring money back.
well, and it's you
Although,
see it
we'll
more
see.
and more and more in games these days, right? Like, you know, like they have these casts that themselves kind of bring interest
do.
in a game. You
And
know
they're
what I mean?
just such a good like voice actors. That's mind blowing. So I was playing Fallout 76 when they brought the NPCs. I think we talked about this, and I was like, I was playing it, and I'm like, this guy talks to me in a bar, and I'm like, I know this guy, and he just like, keeps talking to me. I take a mission, I do it. I go back, take a mission, I do it. I'm like, he doesn't look like the actor at all. Hello, Maso? You just
Yeah, I
disappeared?
froze. I'm sorry.
Ah,
No,
okay.
I'm
I
still
can hear
here.
you. That's fine. I don't see you though, but yeah. So basically, I'm like, this is Jason Mewes from like Jay and Silent Bob, and I go and look it up, and it's him, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I recognize the voice. It's so good, and it's perfect for that character and everything. And I'm like, I mean, there's, I don't know. If it keeps happening too much in games, though, I don't know if it's gonna lose its value, but For now,
I don't
it's
think
kind
it
of big.
has. I mean, it's less of a thing. Like it was much more of a big deal back then. I think.
Yeah.
Like when you were playing Wing Commander 3 and 4, and like you saw Mark Hamill in there, it was like whoa, you know, like you know. So I think it's more commonplace now, but I still think it's like it's valuable.
Yeah, it is.
To bring
I mean,
talented
look at
people,
Keanu
right?
Reeves
Like
and fucking.
yeah. But I think like you're right in that it's becoming a little bit more commonplace, but that doesn't negate the fact that like having talented actors in a game really adds to it. Like playing through Jedi Fallen Order right now, and like they're not big name actors in here, but they're definitely recognizable actors. But it's their acting ability that it just makes the game like so much more cinematic. You know
what's
like
mind blowing to me? I was streaming Oblivion recently, and some people who I know in real life passed by, and they were like, "Wait, this what the Septim guy, whatever, he's voice is someone very famous, and people will recognize it immediately." I still don't know like who the fuck it is, but and that was voice acting was. I know some people will like fucking crucify me for this, but it's disgusting. Like this guy talks in such a I don't know straight line. Like there's no fluctuations in his voice acting or whatever. It's just and it's so yeah. I really didn't like it. But like some people pass by and like, wait, is that guy? And I'm like, yes, it is. Wow, good job. I don't know. I guess you just recognize it. I'm just gonna say one more thing, like while people are throwing stones at me for Oblivion, I don't care about Mark Hamill. Like never did. It's just like
it's fine. You don't.
I don't mind him, but like he's
yeah.
not. I'm like he could have anyone. But I guess that's a.
But when you say Mark Hamill,
it doesn't do anything for me at all.
No, but you know who it is.
I know who it is.
Like you know it's Luke Skywalker, and like that in and of itself kind of like is valuable for marketing purposes, right?
I don't see. I think that value is dropping drastically nowadays because by the time this game comes out, people will not even know who the fuck Luke Skywalker is. Like as Mike Hamill. No, I'm not even kidding, dude. Like, oh come on, dude. Like
he's been in the more recent Star Wars movies, so like
he has been, but not. It was never that important. And like now, it's that I don't even watch Star Wars anymore. But it's that chick now that is like more famous than anyone else, right? What's her name? The whatever. It doesn't matter. But like that's what I'm saying. Like the culture shifts and paying millions for Hamill and actually, well, if you being honest, Gillian Anderson is probably. Maybe they should have waited with this, like until later, and then hire Justin Bieber or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Jesus.
Boy, he's your Canadian fella. He's really good on drums and plays good basketball, though. I don't listen to that.
But honestly, if we're talking about like recognizable actors and stuff like that, I would guess that it's actually probably more recently a bunch of the actors who are in Game of Thrones that would be
TV shows 100% are more popular now than
the ones
movies.
that people like would recognize now. Like I can't think of them off the top of my head, but the actors' names. I mean, but like like you see them and you're just
I know one name and she's a Turkish porn actress, and I'm not gonna. But that's like.
Oh, from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I thought you meant in the Squadron 42 cast. I was like, what?
No. But that's probably the only one who would ring the bell for me.
Yeah.
You're talking about like what's his name, Tyrion or whatever, the short guy.
No, I'm talking about like specifically in the Squadron 42 cast. I can't remember his name. He played the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones.
Onion Knight?
That was his moniker. I can't remember. Davos Seaworth, right?
Oh,
that
Davos. Okay, yeah. But his voice is so recognizable.
Well, and his faces too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
But
Davos. I don't know his name, whatever. But yeah. Wait, anyways, yeah, he is. Yeah, true.
He's in there, and then the guy who played Gimli in Lord of the Rings is in there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah.
I don't think it hurts. The only problem with this is like how long it takes for Star Squadron to come out, because some of these names fade, unfortunately. It's just normal for human race.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Okay, so then Star Citizen launched with 70 star systems. They were just like dropping 10 systems per 500,000.
Again, because back then they were thinking it was just basically going to be kind of more like ED style star systems, where you just basically,
It's
drop
like
them in there with some planets and some space stations.
Dude, that's crazy. Star Citizen will feature additional base type. Can you discover the alien derelict? This probably made more sense.
I don't remember that one. No, I don't remember it. Alien derelict?
Okay. I don't know what the fuck that is, but sure. I mean, in general, these base types, I don't even know, like, whatever. We don't even know what the fuck that is.
I think they were referring to the hangars, because that was always kind of supposed to be like you have your personal hangar. But
because we have bases, but that came later, like land claim and all that shit, right?
Way later, way
so
way
it
later.
has to be hangar, right? Okay, and the last one for today, which is a 10th one, which is 5.5 million. Professional motion capture for the Squadron 42 cutscenes. This is huge. This was huge for Chris Roberts himself, right? This allows him to be more of like a movie director in a way, and make it like super believable and crazy CGI shit and whatnot, right? Then exclusive for us, it's just a better cutscene. So for me personally, it doesn't matter at all. But like it's cool. That's cool. But again, it's fucking expensive shit for 5.5 mil, right?
Especially back then, like mocap was way more expensive than it is now.
If you think about like the stretch goal of 5.5 million, he's promising like at 5 million, he's promising like actors. 5.5 million, he's promising fucking
but
mocap.
This wasn't ever supposed to be like he's not picturing being able to do all this with 5.5 million. This was basically just supposed to be like bonus cash.
Isn't that like 5.5 million now enables us to do this?
Yes.
So
because
because
they weren't
banking
on this. Yes, they weren't banking on this
being a final stretch goal.
Well, they weren't banking on this being what like their total budget. Like they were still planning on going to a publisher and getting,
Oh, they were playing on a publisher back then.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I had no clue about this.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I said this like right when we started. Yeah. So like they weren't saying we can make a game and make it have this for 5.5 million. They were like, this is just additional money than what we're planning on raising from kind of like publicly traded companies and publishers and private investors and stuff like that. So when
did the publisher
go out the door? That's a good question. Yeah. I actually don't remember. I guess you're
gonna find it. It's probably one of those stretch goals, like 100 million or something. Okay, let's keep going. So the second one for 5.5 mil, exclusive record breaker ship skin for 1,000 additional credits on launch for all backers who pledge before the 5.5 mil stretch goal.
So record breaker, I'd have to look this up, but I think they might be referring to like this was basically where it became the most crowd-funded project ever, if I'm not mistaken. Like because at some point during these stretch goals, Star Citizen crossed that level of being like literally the highest crowd-funded project ever done. And I think it still holds that title.
I'm googling this. Is that like the red stripe skin? It doesn't even say for which ship or anything.
I have no idea. I don't remember this ship skin at all. I just remember it like making serious waves.
If you
in
Google
the news
this and look at the
like
images, there's like a bunch of interesting stuff coming up. Even some really interesting ships that are not from Star Citizen, or I don't know. Okay, so probably we don't have this yet. Like it's something that will probably come up later.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's something like we could get something random like this in the sitcom. Like also, guys, we're done with because now they're doing skins, right?
Yeah.
And no one can get this anymore. It's just like a vanity item. So they could,
and it
in one
would
of the
definitely
sequels, be like, hey, and here it is. It would bring some more people to flex the skin in the game.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, and the last thing we're going to read about here is Star Citizen will feature the Bengal carrier as a playable ship class.
Yeah.
Well, what happened with that?
That's still intended.
Only if you find and fix it.
That's playable.
I mean, do you think it's like something you can like buy in game or for money?
No, they've said since then they've clarified on it. I don't have the source or whatever.
No, I know. But like this message, like this message when it came out, that's not how I would read that. I would, you know, I would think of like this size ships will be playable in game because it says ship class, playable ship class.
Yeah, I don't know what the whole deal was with the whole ship class thing. I mean, like it seems like it seems like that only applies to based on the previous like stretch goals, right? Like the MISC Starfarer, they don't call that a ship class. They just say it's an additional flyable ship. But then
but this is carrier class. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So every other ship that has class to it, it actually has class to it, like whatever it was, like cruiser class, you know, Bengal carrier class, whatever,
destroyer class. Yeah.
Oh man, I want to go more with this, but we're gonna stop it here for the next time. I love this. I don't know, like it was kind of, you were more skeptical with this than me, but I don't know, you guys tell us, is this boring for you or not? Because I'm really fucking enjoying this, because I never went through this.
Well, we've had some good kind of discussions that have kind of spawned off of it. That was mainly where I was concerned about when you said you wanted to do this. I was like, I don't know. I think this could be boring.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's boring because it's different because people don't see it as well. Like they just listen to it. But I don't. Tell us if it's okay. Tell us if you get like enough information about it and all that. And I don't know if
And obviously, like fill in if you're listening to this or whatever. Fill in some of the gaps I've left here because, like I said, like. I was watching this game, but I wasn't. It's been a long time, but I wasn't nearly as into this, you know.
If you're one of those back in my day, tell us because I am not. I'm not.
Yeah, or if I'm wrong about anything I've said here, like I said, I'm going off of like what I remember.
Him in the comments, man. Because
just tell me I'm an idiot.
Yeah, because I get all the flack lately. What the fuck? Tell him he's wrong. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm okay with the comments. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, if you guys slam massively comments, I'm gonna join you. Fuck yeah. Okay.
So I've got a couple. Somebody called me. What did he call me? Delusional? No. Stockholm syndrome. Apparently, I have Stockholm syndrome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So that was our topic for today. Now. We're gonna go to Imagination Station, which will be almost topical, kind of.
Kind of.
Like right.
What time are we at right now? Like how long are we in? Because this one could be a big one. We're at 3. Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be that big of one. So the Imagination Station is positional combat in 3.14 and onwards, and it also touches on combat, positional, strategic capital ships. And we talked about this already. I know you said you don't remember, but we talked about this at least 2 times, I think. So, but I think it's very important to come back to this often because we get new stuff and
or I forget because I have a goldfish brain.
I do as well. But like things change. It's an open development. So, and our ideas might change as well. So, first of all. What is positional combat? And before we dive into this, I want to say something because we talked about this before. And when someone says positional combat, for me, and I was probably wrong, but for me,
I could be wrong too.
It's the way you position yourself to not be vulnerable, to not expose vulnerable parts of your ship to another ship, And also position yourself so that you can utilize your weapons in the best possible ways, meaning hitting the other ship at their weak spots. However, it doesn't even have to be that, because Maso, you brought up something today, and I was kind of like, holy shit, I never even thought about that being positional combat.
Well, because like again, like I didn't really play like ship games and stuff like that. That never was my focus, right? So for me, I played a lot of World War II games growing up. I played, space sims, which were basically just World War II in space. And to me, positional combat has always been, outmaneuvering your opponent and getting to a point where you have a more advantageous position. So similar actually to what you said, except for that in the case of dogfighting, it usually ends up being, you have an angle where you can put damage on him, but he can't put damage on you. So you managed to maneuver in such a way where you got in on a target's tail, for example, in World War II style kind of dogfighting. And you're, struggling to maintain that advantageous position on their tail while they're attempting to evade and get out of that, position, make you shed energy or whatever, so that, so they can kind of try to get around on you and gain an advantage on you. So that, like, that to me has always been positional combat in space games as well. I mean,
I think you're right, because space games are more of a airplane gameplay than ship gameplay. You know what I mean? Because there's another dimension. Yeah, you're interesting now.
Oh God, visually. What's happening?
Your internet is definitely.
It's not struggling today. No, this happens all the time with when I'm on Captain's Table, and this right here is OBS God. Ninja.
Oh, okay.
I look like a drug trip.
Yep.
This is amazing. Because like I switched to my other tab where I have the source up, and it's fine.
Looks normal. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, it'll cure itself eventually, I think. In the meantime,
can you enjoy try, like, waving in front of the camera, see like if
does that work?
Maybe. Oh my God,
that made it worse.
Okay.
This is me now. This
is a new playable alien race.
Yeah.
Exclusively on Straight Outta Stanton.
This is the mushrooms you didn't realize. Right?
Okay, so when it comes to the thing is, there's a third dimension, right? So, or I don't even know. Like if I play ship games, so let's say like World of Warcraft, for example, you cannot fly. So
yeah,
the way you turn matters. You have your weak spots, and if you get hit in a weak spot, you can potentially even die. It's like critical damage or whatever. But it requires a lot of knowledge of like which ammo to use, if you can penetrate certain armor or not. and similar stuff. So
what the hell?
But this makes more sense, like being, how do you call it, like outside of your enemy's reach of your enemy's guns. There we go.
There we go.
Fixed.
I see, this is the thing, like and this is kind of what we were talking about in the pre-show. Like I very much could see what your version of positional combat being what we see with like capital ships.
Yes.
And
I saw this in game finally. We actually realized, like, because my problem is whenever we talk about positional combat, I'm like, with this jousting and everything, the game is so fast and you can never like hit the certain spot. Also targeting systems, like where you target a ship or sub-component, but you can't really use your skill to hit certain part of the ship and fuck it up. But they talk about this, like they tell us that this will be a thing, but I don't know if it's going to be like RNG, like maybe you accidentally screw someone's weapon if you're on that side or whatever. But then when you watch like someone fight the Idris or multiple people, if you're a small fighter, you can get on a side and like keep drilling a hole in its hull, right? You can definitely
specifically do that. Like I've watched those where they're like, you go focus on the turrets.
Yes.
And they basically, like when the shields are down, they're basically just flying around popping turrets off of the Idris and stuff like that.
Maybe we get a hybrid where like smaller fighters are simply HP bars with shields with potential RNG chance of losing certain components, right?
Well, I still think that'll be possible for fighters. I just think you're right in saying that because the fighters and smaller ships are so fast, actually like actively targeting for those subcomponents will be, I wouldn't say RNG, but like, you know, potentially more luck based than feasibly skill based, unless you're insane.
I don't
You know,
think,
because
no
like
matter how insane you are, I don't think you can do that.
they've said that they still want, or at least as far as we've heard, they still want physicalized, you know, damage and stuff like that, even for smaller ships. You know, I think you're right though in just saying like, because a fighter is a smaller package, if you have a shell that penetrates the hull and goes through it, it has a higher chance of impacting those critical components as it travels through the ship. Ditto with your energy weapons. Like if you burn a hole off of the top of the hull or whatever, you know, any stray shots that go through that hole you've burned out of the ship are going to start hitting things that are and doing damage to the components inside. So like, you know, and ultimately that'll still have the same effect as if they had a health bar, essentially, you know. If you're hitting those critical components, it's gonna disable that ship, you know, much quicker than, for example, like let's use a constellation as an example, you know, where some of the components are up here, some of the components are in the rear, you know, et cetera, right? So
yeah,
like the chances of a ship being critically disabled or like crippled are higher when you're dealing with a ship where they're all kind of packaged much more tightly, right?
As long as we don't like just explode right now, I'm okay. But yeah, I really wanted that like warships kind of thing where like you can target to damage someone's rudder, or you know, like main guns, like, or you know,
it's
stuff
honestly
like that. Spotter plane,
because I really, and I'm gonna focus, I think, more on the capital ship because like I said, I mean that's something that I really want to do in this game, is be involved on like combat capital ships and stuff like that. I think about this a lot, actually. Like, how is that actually going to look? Like, how will a crew that is very skilled, like, what sort of tactics will you be using against another equally classed capital ship when it comes down to a slugfest? You know what I mean? Like,
you know what?
Like, what is that game going to look like?
So much better, and we could have like all of this that we were talking about. Remove targeting, like locking on target for weapons, like you know what I mean? Because like for missile lock needs to stay, right? It makes, unless you have rockets, like rockets and you know how rockets are now.
Yeah,
you have to hit, you have to project it. It's like a skill shot. I think all
here's
weapons.
The thing, though, like even in World War II, like they basically were utilizing the same mechanics of targeting as insofar as like you spot a target and you know like your weapons officers do the math to basically determine where you have to aim, you know, to
it's not
to
the
hit
same,
them,
though,
right?
So again, I'm gonna go back to warships. Like you select the ship and you fire at the ship. You chose type of the ammo out of 2 on your ship, and there's auto aim in the game, right? So you need to know where to aim because you have to like, you can miss the entire ship if you like are not aiming well. But once you fire, the guns are taking into account the other ship's trajectory, basically. So it's like semi-guided hits.
Well, that's kind of all that targeting and pip reticles are, right? Like, just because you're shooting at the pip doesn't mean you're going to hit that ship.
Well, but it's such a different. I play both games, right? It's such a different feel to it because I need to in ships, I need to predict where my shells are going to hit, and it matters. Like it actually matters how the other ship is aligned to me. Where in Star Citizen, it only matters that I hit. As long as I hit, I'm dealing damage. And as long as I'm dealing damage.
Well, but that's the thing too, though, right? Like when we start to get into more physicalized damage, you are going to have to potentially think about the fact that if you're, let's say, lobbing projectiles at them, if you're not hitting them at the right angle, there is a chance that that projectile just springs off the armor. And
but how? Because you're the auto aim, like auto assist, it feels like, okay, so here's how it feels in Star Citizen. Like if I target your ship and I'm flying around and showering you with bullets, it always feels like they're hitting the middle of the ship. Like if it's a hit, it's a middle of the ship hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but well, here's the other thing, and here's something that we haven't really taken into account here. Like, look at the ranges you're engaging at in World of Warships, right? Like, I could sorry?
What are you trying to say?
Well, they're very far. And that's the thing.
They go from like 0 kilometers to 30-kilometer range. So it's not like, it depends on what you're doing. Like you can in a minute that's in the game, you can be like, you can ram another ship.
Yeah. Okay, sure. But basically what I'm saying is like I think that if you had a cap ship on cap ship, let's just use javelins for right now, because they actually have kind of more of that broadside kind of configuration. I could see most of your engagement in a capital ship battle being at those like far ranges where you're, like having to calculate for where the ship's moving, and then just kind of like firing salvos back and forth at each other, hoping that you hit. And then and then you're like when you start getting closer, that's where you'd start to potentially be able to go like, okay, now we're gonna see if we can start landing shots on the rear quarter of the ship, or
you know how satisfying. So there's like RNG, like Jimao and me were playing lately a lot. As a matter of fact, I think he's streaming it now, the ships. And when I've been playing the game for 4 years now, and then now finally with certain ships and certain ammo, knowing the other ship, if they angle and they're like just going in straight line and I can hit their citadel potentially, when I fire my salvo, I will tell him, oh shit, look at the Baltimore, and he's gonna look there and this ship just goes from 100 to 0 because I've hit the critical spot 20 kilometers away, because I know exactly what is happening and how to fire. And there's still a chance for me to like overpen or whatever, but there's a high chance that I'm gonna hit exactly the middle of that ship, and the salvo flies for a long time, but you just develop this feel of where your hits are going to end up potentially. I never ever, I have more hours played in Star Citizen, I never have this feeling of, I just feel like, like that's what it is, like you just hit the ship.
Well, and that's definitely changed in 3.14, especially like I was saying earlier, like if you get on a server where the AI is actually maneuvering properly and stuff like that, you do, like I started to get that feeling like, I got you now, motherfucker, and you could put like an entire salvo, like, right into them.
Specific situation, what did you fly and against what? Because I was playing, remember, like 3.14 came out, I was playing with my Hawk and I was playing with the Constellation, and I definitely don't have any of these like moments.
Right. So I was playing with I think it was a Gladius at the time, and I loaded basically 2 laser cannons and a repeater on the nose, and I just remember again, like all the AI were maneuvering properly, and I was having to kind of counter maneuver with them, pick away with their shields or whatever. And then I remember, I think it was a Cutlass Black or something. I got his shields down, pumped all power to weapons, and he turned basically broadside to me, and it was just like, well, that was a mistake. And then able to just basically, with a full weapons charge, basically just like unload right into the center of his ship and just watch him disintegrate. And it felt good. Like, it felt really good. There were a couple fights like that. I also flew in a Warden, and a Saber. I put ballistic cannons on the nose and then repeaters on the wings. That's really satisfying. Just like a couple times.
Where you actually felt okay. So I'm gonna play because of this, because I've never had this, and I want to see if I can feel that, because
it was late Friday night, and like I said, I got lucky, and everything was moving.
I never felt like it. Well, but wait, let me finish. Like, it never mattered to me how the ship is angled to me. It never felt like I have an advantage because, the ship is sideways, so there's like bigger area to hit. Even that, even that didn't matter.
Well, that's one of the things I've found, like, especially when they're actually flying around properly and actually maneuvering right? Like that was one of the things I found, like, that made it feel good, was because like, you have to hold your fire until you have a good opportunity to put a lot of damage in.
But their shields are recharging, right? That's the problem with holding your fire.
Yeah, but again, like you know, like, you can tap basically to keep the regen going, but basically being able to recognize now is where you can put big damage in. Because there was, like, I was noticing, like, there was a couple times where like I would just be kind of like he's 1,000 meters away from me and I'm still firing at him, and then by the time I close on him, I'm out and I have to wait for a regen. And I just realized, I started to get the feel of, like, how important it is to make sure that you're in those, like, advantageous positions where you're going to make those shots count. And yeah, it felt good, man. Like,
I'm gonna play because of what you're saying right now.
I would do it. Like again, like, I think a lot of this was contingent on server, but the more I played around with it,
I'm gonna go and play Arena Commander. I want to go play Pirates Form or whatever to see if that
I didn't
works.
play an Arena Commander.
I know, but that should be better. The only time I had any, like, and this is, now in retrospect when I think about it, this is probably the reason I enjoyed Xenothreat so much, because I was playing my Titan, and I was in depending on the account, I was playing my Titan, I was playing my Hawk, and I would go so close to the Idris, and I would like try to keep up with it, like, and shoot the same spot. And it actually, for the first time ever, it felt like I am trying to hit the spot.
Yes,
and I had control over it. Like, I was like, this is where I'm aiming, and because it was slow, right? So the Idris is slow, and I can actually align properly and do that. And I want that. That's what I really, really want. And I understand, like, 2 mosquitoes fighting, it's not gonna happen. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But you still get to those moments where it's like, you know, like, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is, like, I started feeling those moments happen a little bit more when it's like we're ducking, we're moving, we're trying to lower each other's shields or whatever. And this is just AI. Like I said, I haven't really done this PvP because desync right now. Why would I bother?
No, I don't care. Well, like, I could test this in PvP if, like, you and me are in the Arena Commander alone, and like we can, like, test it. But other than that, no.
It was like I just started to realize that what I've been used to up until this point, where it's basically just like fly into weapons range and then start pulling the trigger, like, that doesn't really work anymore. You know, like, you can do that and you will land some hits, but then the opportunity will arise where you could have, if you had been, like, kind of being a little bit more conservative with your shots, could have put a lot of damage into them, because you ended up, you know, in a situation where you just swung right around onto him. Oh, this is the other thing. No shield faces anymore. I think this is a really good thing for smaller ships, because that does mean that I don't know, it's less frustrating because of how rapidly you're changing positions and facings on another ship. Like, the no shield faces really has helped, I think, to get that feeling where I
kind of feel like having shield faces on bigger ships will make it better, because
on bigger ships, sure. I'm talking about on fighters.
You keep, like, punching hole in the same shield, and you get rewarded for that.
Well, and I think that's where some of the positional combat will actually start kind of playing in with capital ship on capital ship, like, tactics too. But specifically right now,
I think it's more like other ships versus capital ship is where it, like, you know. And then what happens with missiles as well? Like, missile always hits the middle, right?
I don't know. I mean, unless you can actually,
we need guided missiles,
target,
man.
Or target, you know, like, utilizing your subcomponents, being able to lock missiles on to specific subcomponents and stuff like that.
Missile operator mode needs to be able to enter missile
guided mode
and guide the missile exactly to where they want. And if they miss, they miss. It's a skill shot, basically. Wouldn't that be fucking cool? Especially
for, like, torpedoes. You know, like on a like if you're, like, you know, launching torpedoes from an Idris or something like that.
Oh, okay. Listen. Ooh, World of Warships just added. Some people are going to be pissed off with me in World of Warships, but there's a lot of similarities, and some systems they have are really cool. So they have submarines. The submarines have torpedoes like any other ship that has torpedoes, right? You can get to the surface, and then you have a little like prediction at the current speed where the ship will go, and if you hit that, there's a chance if they don't change their course, you're gonna hit them. There's no tracking on them at all. Now, submarines have the same shit, but they also have what is called a ping, like whatever. So now these torpedoes are the same, but if you ping the target, so there's like you shoot the ping and it goes, it's a sonar ping basically, and if you hit the target, then your torpedoes start tracking that ping, and the ping has like 10 seconds, and then it disappears, and wherever the torpedoes are going, they keep going that way, straight line. You have to like keep pinging the target, and then the torpedoes will actually follow the target and hit the exact spot where the ping is.
It would be kind of interesting if there was like that active component to missile
like
operator modes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because again, like let's be honest, it's pretty fucking frustrating to like lock a missile, fire it, and see it just basically chase after, a torpedo, and see it chase after like a countermeasure. And I get it, like that's part of the gameplay, and there should be counters to those counters. You know what I mean?
So I see this like, how do we get this? It's kind of cool. So small, maybe like size 1 and 2 cannot be guided, maybe, and then 3 and onwards can be guided as an option. And in that case, countermeasures like have like 90 or even 100% chance to like screw up your missile, right? But then if you're guiding,
I think right, yeah.
But
so
if you are
guiding
it, then because if the countermeasure works properly, you will not see shit for a while, right? Because you have to fly through the chaff and everything and whatever, and you're limited. You have to see the ship visually to actually hit it, right? And I think a really good person will be able to hit ships more often than not, right? But then if someone's trying it for the first time, they're going to be like, where the fuck is this ship? Like how,
where I actually think that
easily.
I think the balance in this too, with smaller ships anyways, would be insofar as like
I'd like rockets
how do I
instead
say
of
this?
missiles, man. Like that'd be fucking amazing. Skill shot.
Well, there is the option to dumbfire them, and there already is rocket pods in the game. So like I could totally see the rockets being a thing. But no, I mean like
wait,
basically
is that
like
what
the
dumbfire
balancing...
is? Like you just fire it in a straight line. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you should like drop it down.
No, it just fires straight. So like,
oh fuck, that's fucking cool. Okay.
It is because, and the cool thing with that is if you have a stealth torpedo bomber, you don't have to tip them off by even locking those torpedoes.
Can be done. Oh my.
Yes, they can. So the skill shots with stealth bombers come in getting in close to something, especially not being seen, right? And then just like basically firing those torps off dumbfire. They wouldn't even have a lock indicator. They'd just get hit all of a sudden and not,
brutal.
It could be brutal. But with going back to the guidance thing, like with hand guidance, I think that is a cool thing because obviously when you're doing it against larger ships, it would be more advantageous than smaller ships. Like I think it's probably pretty fair to say like it is going to be easier for the computer to follow a player that's trying to juke you in a small, fast ship than you would be able to 100%. In a so that
depends how the UI is. If they give you too much, like if they give you lock ability and like assist steering and whatnot, which I don't want. I want you to be like a ship basically.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
See, but that's the thing. If you're a ship, you're locked at the like. I don't think you're gonna have any like throttle control or anything. I think it's basically
as in like just steering as a ship. Like you don't get like any assist. Like if you decide to guide your Tomahawk, you are steering, nothing else. You can run out of fuel, and you can't change speeds. That's it.
I think that's going to be hard, man. Like
it would be very, very hard, but it would be so satisfying if you do it.
Totally, yeah.
And it would be hard, but like think about like Xenotrat or something. Like think about fighting Ghidras. That would not be hard.
No. Well, that's the thing. The larger ships.
Oh my god! Because
the larger
PDC,
ships makes well, yeah. There's the PDCs. So you'd have to be avoiding those. So like the advantage is that you don't have to worry about countermeasures as much. But
Oh, listen, how? Oh my god! You have two people as MOMs in two different ships attacking Idris. One flies first under the ship, takes all the PDC attention. The other one like flies above and hits the ship. You can have so many things with this. It would be so crazy, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine this would be very difficult to develop, though.
I still think that this fits in with like positional combat as well, right? Because like yeah. But even with the guns, like going back to like guns and like engaging other capital ships or whatever with your guns at range and stuff like that, like I could see that gameplay being, I don't know, fun and interesting as well. I think about it a lot because I'm like it. I guess what I'm wondering is like, obviously it's not going to be like World of Warships where you get those, like if you get a solid salvo, like you can just take somebody from 100 to 0 and
that's
no time,
very
right?
situational though. Like it's not like you can one shot any ship with any ship with perfect salvo. It's like 1 in 1,000 if you know exactly you're overmatching, and then everything has to go by the plan, right?
Yeah,
it's like a critical hit.
Like what the fuck?
The sound is
on
great,
my end,
though. You are freezing.
Okay, we'll just keep going. Yeah, like this is something. Yeah,
something's happening, but the sound is perfectly fine. So yeah,
this is definitely on OBS Ninja for sure, because like my other screen that shows my camera with it is like it's fine. But anyways, like I guess so what I don't know, kind of worried about, I guess, is that like capital ship combat would just end up being too much of like a slugfest between two capital ships instead like I
think capital ship combat will not be a thing at all, as in like ramming maybe or something in desperation. I think capital ships will be always surrounded by other ships, and that's like you're gonna be like so far away from each other. You will still like fire torpedoes or use these guns, but I think the guns will be there more to protect you, and you're going to be like base of operation and then whichever base dies first.
With carriers maybe, but like I could, like with ships like a destroyer, you obviously like you want to use those guns, right? Like you got like
but destroyer is not a capital ship though. It's destroyer will actually
I'm considering that a capital ship. But I'm probably using the wrong names here.
A ship that everything else is built around, as in the fleet, right? So
okay. So let's just I'm using capital ships as in like frigates upwards, is what I'm is kind of like how I'm using the term. So like when I'm talking about capital ship combat, I'm talking about like I guess what would those be considered? Ships of the line? Is that?
Well, it's like I would say like everything that you need to. I don't know, like have a squadron around to kind of protect it. So you can pack a punch, but no one's going to expose themselves to that. But it's not like dangerous to smaller ships,
right?
Which is why.
So what I'm picturing is
if
like
you need an escort, like, basically you're a cap ship, I would say.
Idris frigates and like javelin destroyers going toe to toe in those sorts of like, I keep wanting to call them capital ships.
How in those, doesn't matter, it's okay. I mean, we don't know the terms specifically for such things anyways, but like how do you imagine a fight between two Idrises? Like what?
Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to imagine. Like we've seen in old videos, we've seen Idris them kind of Idris. Like where they basically start out approaching each other and like firing railguns back and forth. The fighter squadrons are engaging each other as they're like entering combat. But that did just literally seem like two Idrises firing railguns at each other until they were close, and then they engage with all guns. And like
I kind of see that as a really silly situation though. I feel like that's not going. I could be super wrong, right? But I think that's not going to be a regular occurrence or whatever. Like I
don't think it'll be a regular occurrence.
No, but I don't think it's going to be occurrence at all. Like because I don't feel like. I think it's going to be Idris versus Idris fights, don't get me wrong. But I feel like Idris being a centerpiece of a chess board where it's packing a punch, but actually everything else around it will prevail in combat. Where Idris will be able to resupply, provide, support to their supporting ships and give them a better position by maneuvering the other Idris, where the other ships will actually do the main job, right? If that makes any sense. Like,
I think it does, but I don't know.
torpedoes
Like,
kill the capital ship, not the other capital ship. Most of the times, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, I hope we get into some like large ship slugfests, because I think that would be like super fun to play.
It will happen 100%, but I don't think that Idris will be able to like just out of nowhere nuke the other Idris's butt. You know? Like,
no,
pew, pew, pew,
and
done,
that's kind of where I'm trying to picture like what would an engagement look like in that. Like, obviously there's positional.
Sorry? And then do you want me to give you my imagination of a combat between two Idrises, and then, or you want to throw yours first if you have it?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've thought about this a lot, but I still don't really know. I still haven't really settled on it, because like right now, to me, it kind of feels like they've just basically like like slug back and forth. Like, because I'm wondering like where do the tactics come in with capital ships in Star Citizen?
Okay.
With frigates and destroyers and stuff like that.
So the way I see it is, no ship of this size will fly alone, right? Do we agree on that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the way I see it, they will fly with different escorts, whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
I believe some orgs will be like, we're not going to take the Idris out without certain setup, because that's what's the most optimal that they believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then some people will just fly with whatever they have as an escort. And first of all, whoever has a better setup to protect their Idris is probably going to win these encounters. But now the encounter itself, let's say it's the same setup versus same fleet versus same fleet with the Idris in the middle. I think, and I want this to be, but I think it's possible, where the Idrises, there will, like, maybe that's where the positional alignment matters, because if you expose the belly of an Idris to another Idris,
you're gonna get a railgun.
You're gonna get fucked, right? So you're probably going to play cat and mouse game between two Idrises, where your pilot and your captain will play the main role of like captain looking third person, figuring out how to like either get around certain asteroids or bases or whatever, and like position themselves, right? Because they're slow as fuck when they're not like jumping.
But they're also a force multiplier. They're also a force multiplier. So like you'd be potentially trying to eliminate their fighter escort and whatever ships they have in their escort, before kind of committing to an actual battle with the other frigate, right?
But that's what I want. Like, I don't like, right? So you might have like a stealthy torpedo squadron that wants to come from behind or under the Idris. So then these guys have to anticipate and protect that side with their fighters, right? But that means that they cannot send their fighters to fight your Idris or whatever, if that's even going to be a thing, because of PDCs and whatnot. There's probably going to be like whatever.
Or potentially you could have your fighters engaged or whatever, and like it looks like your side is starting to lose, and you might say, we need to move over there and bring kind of like, support kind of that direction, potentially exposing you to their capital ship, which can then basically start firing on you without you guys being able to potentially fire back. But then there's also like shield faces as well, so like you could potentially roll the ship if you need to expose a different face.
But it takes forever, which is kind of cool, right? But it takes forever for the other ship to turn towards you as well. But then that's where the other big ships come into play, right? If you have, what's the name? Oh my god, the newer one that we had now. Proteus is in my mind. What's the name?
Perseus,
yeah. So something like Perseus, something like the Crusader mini motherfuckers with size 7 guns, right? Like with probably long range. I see them as like potential like stealth snipers or something, which in numbers can deal a lot of damage to a capital ship.
It would have to be in those numbers though, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying like one ship will just kill whatever Idris. No. That should never be a thing.
Yeah.
And then who has that might prevail. Like if you decide, okay, we can defend against this Idris, so our Perseus can just go the fuck out and then come from the other side
And then
an
there's like
unprotected flank and like deal a
that's the
lot
thing,
of
like,
damage to an Idris or something.
you're throwing corvettes in here too, I guess. Like
Yeah.
that's where we start thinking about like, if you could have hammerheads potentially in that
I feel like
group as
Hammerhead
well.
is probably more of like defense for your capital ship.
Totally. Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's an easy target for a big ship, but
It's an easy target for an Idris. You'd have to be careful with that
yeah,
hammerhead
but
too, because
on your
like,
side,
if
next to your Idris, it melts fighters, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't want to come close.
well,
There's,
that's
like,
the other
two
thing
hammerheads,
too, right? Like now I'm starting to see the tactics here too, because like let's use that example where your fighters are starting to lose, and you need to kind of like push, kind of support that way. You could send the hammerhead over there, but at the same time, now you're gonna have to make sure that Idris doesn't basically identify that hammerhead and do whatever, like so your Idris is now going to have to potentially
And there's a bait as
try
well
to
with
get
one
the-
crew member
yeah,
or something, right?
try to get the attention of that other Idris so that it doesn't level on that hammerhead, which is trying to kind of like lend support to your fighter squadrons and stuff like that. Yeah, but I
and
guess
then the
like
server crashes in the middle of this. 30k, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, and then
But,
you
yeah,
have
like-
then you have the stealth. That's where the stealth gameplay, I think, comes in, and especially some bigger ships. Like, what's your biggest ship?
my biggest ship, Polaris. That's exactly what the Polaris is. Yeah, it's that attack sub basically.
Like, oh shit, guys, they have a Polaris on our port side.
Yeah.
And the combat is on. It's just like the torpedoes start flying in from the port side, and you're fighting on the starboard or whatever. It's like,
Oh, you're at that point you're fucked. Like
Yeah.
if you got trapped between a
but that's what the
another
tactics are.
frigate.
Like you have to
and-
sneak around and like get them.
Yeah. Like if you have a Polaris surprise you, it's bad news. It's bad news.
This is what has to happen for Star Citizen to be mind-blowing gameplay. This is Eve gameplay basically, but
Yeah.
so much more immersive, right? You need to have tactical combat between big ships with the support of more smaller and medium-sized ships compared to that one, right? So yeah, I really we actually get to see the beast.
One of them. It's getting close to dinner time, so she's like sitting there and meowing behind me,
What?
and
We're nearing the
headbutts
end here,
everything.
so, yeah.
she headbutts everything, so she likes to like knock over my green screen. Hello, Clips.
Hi! Oh my god, the grumpy face! I love cat. I need to get the cat again. I'm allergic, so
Stay away from there.
what to do.
It's totally okay. Green screen's probably gonna come down, but anyways.
And we've had
Yeah.
worse things today with your like mushroom trips and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I and then like so then the other part for me becomes like how do you
could anticipate this, because if this is around a certain, let's say there's a cluster that everyone wants to mine and you need special equipment, but then your terrapin finds it and figures out there's another terrapin that was looking for it, so that's a test terrapin, right? So you're like, oh ship, we're gonna have to fight around this, right? Mine or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you send your ship, fuck,
Polaris?
your Polaris like earlier, and she kills there in stealth. No one knows, right? And then the whole combat happens on their side,
Yeah.
and she just comes out of the water and he's like, pew, pew,
This is why, for anybody who's listening, this is why I think that Polaris gameplay is going to be more fun than Perseus gameplay.
Well, it depends. Like Perseus will be like more in flying next
brawler.
to that flying next to that
Yeah.
fucking capital ship and
Well, that's
getting
the
into
positionality.
the combat, but then
Yeah,
it
the
really depends on,
positionality
like,
of
what's more fun, right? For who?
I guess.
You're gonna
I guess.
sit there
I
and
just-
do nothing
Yeah.
and listen to the combat, and at the right time you're gonna turn the tide, right?
Or you're going to be a U-boat and you're basically going to be like,
Oh, you can hunt down things, but this is different, right? Like
Yeah.
this is
tactically, yeah, but this is why I hung on to the Polaris and why I wasn't tempted by the Perseus, for example, because I feel like just like the satisfaction you'd get from that surprise motherfucker moment.
Yep. But that's all
I think
your
it's gonna
stealth
be-
ships, right? Like Polaris will be able to deliver a fatal blow to some really
Perseus,
big ship.
don't get me wrong, I think that Perseus could be a lot of fun too, because it would be like, it'd be very much like
gameplay.
Oh, definitely. You'd be like, how do you get around to that vulnerable, like how do you get around to that advantageous position on your like harder target,
example. Like,
and not get picked off while you're doing it? Because
you send your Perseus in, and that javelin has to focus on the side from which Perseus is coming, and all the defense and everything. It's a threat, bro. It's a threat. Come on.
It is a threat, but that's why, like, I wouldn't expose it like that, man, because the javelin would just pop it. Oh yeah.
I don't think the javelin will just pop it.
If a javelin landed all four of those turrets and those, they're the big top and bottom turrets on that, and started
it depends of like armor, shields. Like, is it going to be able to actually bounce shit off? Is there like a minimum amount of shell size that can penetrate Perseus's nose, right, and shit like that, and they can maneuver so much easier around that?
Well, that's it, and that's where I think you'd want to use the Perseus. Is basically you'd use your javelin or your Idris as like a harder target.
Yeah, and then you come from the other side with
exactly. You don't want that Perseus getting focused, because it's not going to be able to take the punishment. That's what I think. Yeah,
I think the Perseus
is going to be squishy.
Oh, I don't think so.
See, I think it's going to be DPS. I think it's going to be like, because it's a Corvette, right? Like it's not going to be able to take the punishment that a larger ship can.
So you think Polaris will be able to take the punishment?
No.
See what I mean? So Polaris
is the rogue.
Okay, stop. So that's what I'm saying. We don't have all the classes here. We have either stealthy ships or armored ships, right? And different cross sections and whatnot. So I feel like you have one Perseus and one Polaris. You're gonna send your Perseus in to take the damage while Polaris sneaks around and actually deals the damage, right?
Sure. Sorry, I wasn't thinking like, personally, I wasn't thinking like a Perseus and Polaris combo. I was thinking more like, if you had an Idris and a Perseus, how do you use that? And like if
protects your Idris.
Well, I think that's where the Perseus basically isn't the tank. The Perseus's intention is to get around to that advantageous position and put damage into the other target while not being picked off by, let's say, an Idris railgun, which,
it's so situational, though. We're talking about like mirror match here, but Idris versus Idris. But what if it's
Well, I just think with any harder
ships, like in enemy ships, it's going to be.
I still think that the Perseus. Oh yeah, obviously this is imagination, but like I think that the Perseus in a larger fleet engagement will be banking on the larger ships taking the hits while it tries to get into a position where it can like do some damage.
I just had an idea about another section of the show where we like set up like fleet versus fleet and talk about
okay, that's
like
fun.
play
I
like
like that.
chess. We give each player like certain amount of ships, and then we like talk about like who's gonna do what.
Yeah,
I mean, you and me, each player.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're imagined territory anyways there, but I do like that. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, and then the other thing that, and this isn't really positional combat so much, but I kind of wonder like crews, like how do you what sort of a difference do you think like a really
what
I don't know, trying to picture like where is the skill in the crew? Like obviously your captain has to know where to move the ship to, or where to order the ship move to.
When the game starts and we start having these encounters, no one will know anything.
Yeah.
So there's going to be ships lost all over the place for stupid things. And slowly this combo meta will start showing up, from the huge like escorts to wombo combos of like two smaller medium ships just doing fucking crazy shit together.
Yeah.
But the time will take time and theory crafting and trying. So trial and error, just like in an air game. And then you'll get to a point where you'll know, these three ships together, get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Like, or you will
At a
see two
glance-
ships together and be like, motherfuckers have stealthied that for sure, because that's how they go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how that combat
and that's
works,
where
or
your
combo
crew and
works.
captain experience will actually be a thing. Well, they have this as well. I know they like, you know, and then
But when it comes to the actual combat, I think one of the big like make or breaks in an actual like slugfest could be your engineers.
for sure,
You know, like if you have a solid engineer and a crack damage control team, like I think that the ability to pull yourself out of a scrape is, I think those are one of the places where your crew skill will be like really telling.
Mhm.
But I mean,
I agree.
again, this is the
because
Imagine,
if
so I
it's
don't
not
know,
like that, who is going to be an engineer and why? You know what I mean?
yeah.
It wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense otherwise. That was good,
And then
man.
Yeah.
You were about to say something.
yeah.
Sorry. Go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, the other thing that could be like your make or break would be like before combat would be your like scanner operators and stuff like that. Because if you go into something like you said, you know, there's a stealth ship out there and you miss it, you know, that could be it
element
right
of
there. You're
surprise will
fucked.
be so important. Like, and the information will be important because, and we're talking about, like, first of all, this is imagination, as you can now see on the screen. And the second thing is, most of the time you will not engage unless you think you have the upper hand, right? But then,
Especially with
tactical-
expensive capital ships.
yeah, and then the tactical stealth advantage will everyone's going to run something in the background that no one knows what it is. And then sometimes people will know because they'll manage to sneak close to your Polaris that does not know that it's being spotted and shit like that.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
like if this becomes this is why people are losing their mind over Star Citizen potentially.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's what it is. This is the potential of this game is massive. It's massive. It's just like,
Yeah.
it really is questionable if they're going to be able to deliver something like this with servers and all that shit. But it's crazy.
But that, like, literally, it's what we're talking about right now. Like, when to go back to what you asked me, like, what you want, what do I want my main game loop to be? If I
That's what it
could
is?
do this, it would be this.
See, for me, it wouldn't. But I want a
still
world
am-
where this is happening and I understand what's happening.
exactly. Like, I understand that these sorts of engagement aren't probably going to be common enough for it to be a main loop, but like this would be my raid. This would be like what I'd be showing up every week for, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? And then everything I do in the background is just to kind of support
PvE,
it.
man, like you could do this in PvE and still have
yeah.
so much fun. You know
Sure,
what I
there's
want to
gonna
be?
be factions out there with other cap ships for sure.
You know the Prospector? Well, actually, it's a Kraken ad.
Yeah.
Where so I don't care about mining, but like, I want to be somewhere and seeing this whole combat happens while I'm doing something completely different.
Yeah.
And then like afterwards I get there and you know, with my scrapper and just like collect fucking shit that the rest of
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna profit off all of you motherfuckers.
Totally. Yeah. And like that's the thing too. I guess that's like when I said like org gameplay or whatever, like it's big engagements like that, but it's also like the industrial side of things that, you know, like working
Mining
as a group kind of
operations or
like
whatever.
or like, you know, like you got to pay for the fuel on those cap ships somehow, you know what I mean? So like let's work together and let's make some money for the org and, you know, make sure that we can get our ships out there and fighting. So
okay.
But yeah, I guess that about wraps up Imagination Station.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it wraps up Imagination.
Yeah, and I don't have zero effort.
Nope. Wait. So we turn this off. And then we do this. All right. So it's kind of good timing because something is happening in your stream as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we thought it's going to be a short one, but it ended up being like 4-hour episode.
Yeah, our typical episode.
Yeah. And if you're just happening to show up now in Masuka's live stream, because we do stream this live every Sunday, you will be able to watch the whole episode on YouTube later in a couple of hours. But yeah, I think it's important for people to know that they can come here every Sunday and ask questions that we will answer at the end of the show. This time we didn't have anything. Usually we do. And so you can either watch it on Twitch TV/Mastercast, or you can watch it on YouTube. And soon we'll have some other options with like Spotify and whatnot. Do you want to sign us out?
Sure. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like it, please throw us a like, and a subscribe would be lovely. We just kind of do this for fun, but I don't know. It's yeah, like I say every day or every week, it's fun to see the numbers go up. We also do another show on Wednesday, which is Stanton Gossip, where we just basically go over kind of various kind of funny social media things with Star Citizen or cool videos and stuff that we've watched. So keep your eye on our YouTube channel for that.
That one is not broadcasted live, so this is the only one that you can
we don't
live.
Yeah, and then like I said, we stream this live every Sunday, twitch.tv/Masscast, usually around 11 PST, if you want to catch us there. Like we said last week as well, we're gonna open things up as far as our questions go a little bit with the YouTube comments as well. So if you have a question from this episode, you can throw that in the YouTube comments with brackets or whatever, and we'll maybe get to that next time. It's just something we're kind of gonna try experimenting with a bit.
Make sure you tell us so that we know that it's that you would like to hear our answer to it live. Oh, I mean on the show, like verbally and not in text, so that we know.
Yeah. And I guess speaking of that, like I said, if you want to continue any of these conversations that we've had this episode in the comment section, feel free. We have a pretty good comment back and forth pretty frequently here. So yeah, feel free.
And we like seeing it. It's amazing. Alrighty, with that said, have a great rest of your day and the upcoming week. And if we don't see you before then, Wednesday or Sunday, same place, same time. Have a great one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.